Chapter 1170. Of the 5 Dao integration sacred emperors, only Yin Xingwen was still blocking Jialan. Seeing the Grand Essence Dao court army's momentum gradually rising, and forming an array to suppress them, Yin Xingwen knew that the situation was hopeless. The World Stone was good, but one had to have the ability to grab it. He then asked the Grand Essence Dao court army to retreat. At this time, the Grand Essence realm was still changing the trap and kill array. If they waited any longer, they might not even have the chance to retreat. Even the Realm Lord Yin Xingwen retreated. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court army retreated frantically. At this time, no one cared about the Dao Court army's momentum and coercion anymore. Countless means of retreat were used, and for a moment, the space law was in chaos. All kinds of escape lights and Dao runes crisscrossed in the blood mist. All the cultivators with means had escaped. Those who didn't or didn't have time to escape had been trapped by the Grand Essence Dao Court army led by Ningcheng, and the Black and White Beards through the trap and kill array. The Tai Dao Court army had nearly 50 million soldiers. Of the 40 million soldiers who participated in the battle, almost all the experts at the second step of Dao proving had retreated. Nearly 20 million soldiers were trapped by the trap and kill array. The Grand Essence Dao Court army in the trap and kill array could only face the Grand Essence realm. In the trap and kill array, Dao runes roared and magic treasures flashed. The space became chaotic. After the experts died, the light of Dao runes and the power of law continued to dissipate. Screams and the smell of blood mixed together, making the surrounding void seem a little cold. Yin Xingwen looked at the Grand Essence Dao Court army besieged in the trap and kill array with a pale face. His lips trembled. No matter how strong the Grand Essence Dao Integration Sacred Emperor was, he couldn't do anything to Yin Xingwen. However, Yin Xingwen could slaughter the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Not only Yin Xingwen, but the other Primordial Essence Sacred Emperors also had ugly expressions. They finally understood why the Grand Essence realm could wipe out Feng Xian and the Luoying Dao Court army. With this kind of strength, how difficult could it be to wipe out the entire Dao Court army? Stop! Lei Shiran couldn't help but call out in a hoarse voice. Of the 20 million trapped Dao Court soldiers, his Cloudlight Dao Court accounted for more than 10 million. A few million belonged to the Jade Clear Dao Court. As for the Glazed Pearl Dao Court's army, most of them had already been killed. Ning Cheng's gaze swept past Lei Shiran. Lei Shiran had narrow eyes and a square face, wearing a green robe. When he saw Lei Shiran, he actually had a familiar feeling. Seeing Ningcheng looking at him, Lei Shiran spoke up again. Dao Lord Ningcheng, it's my fault that my Cloudlight Dao Court invaded your Grand Essence realm. As long as I, Lei Shiran, am able to do it, I, Lei Shiran, will not say no. Ningcheng sneered. Even at this time, this fellow still did not forget to win the hearts of the people. At this moment, Silver Dragon Clan's Gongwu suddenly came to Ningcheng's side and whispered, Dao Lord, this Lei Shiran is the one who bought Shiyang. I didn't expect this person to be a Dao Lord of a realm. Ningcheng suddenly understood. No wonder he felt that it was somewhat familiar. Back then, Gongwu had told him that the person who had bought release soil from the Thousand Thunder Void City was someone with narrow eyes, a square face, a green robe, and his surname was Lei. Many thanks, Court Pillar Gong. After Ningcheng thanked Gongwu, he looked at Lei Shiran and said with a smile, I heard that Dao Lord Lei bought a piece of release soil from the Thousand Thunder Void City many years ago. If Dao Lord Lei can give me this piece of released soil, and give me 100 top-grade divine spiritual veins and 100,000 high-grade divine spiritual veins, this matter is not non-negotiable. Lei Shiran looked at Ningcheng in surprise. It wasn't that Ningcheng's asking price was too high, but Ningcheng's asking price was too low. Apart from the preciousness of released soil, Ningcheng's asking price really wasn't high. After hearing Ningcheng's words, Lei Shiran didn't even try to bargain and said without hesitation, deal. After that, he threw a ring to Ningcheng without hesitation, as if he didn't care if Ningcheng went back on his words. Ningcheng was also a Dao Lord of a realm, so he naturally wouldn't go back on his words because of this. When he found that the ring Lei Shiran handed him did indeed contain 100 top-grade divine spiritual veins and 100,000 high-grade divine spiritual veins, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. These Dao Lords were truly rich. Most importantly, One of the jade boxes contained Shi Yang. Lei Xiran felt very proud that Shi Yang was given away so easily. The last time he obtained the Luiying Dao Court's Jess World, he didn't open it and gave it to Yin Ji. From this, it could be seen that it contained a very rich fortune. When the time came, he would have to remind Yin Ji. Seeing Ning Cheng put away the ring, Lei Xiran suddenly said, I have an additional piece of news for Dao Lord Ning. The Thousand Leaps Void City doesn't just have my released soil. If Dao Lord Ning goes to the Thousand Leaps Void City in the future, you will definitely gain a lot. Ning Cheng knew that even if Lei Xiran was telling the truth, he didn't have any good intentions in his words. He didn't care about Lei Xiran's meaning. Instead, he threw out an array flag, opened a gap in the trap and killing array, and said, All Cloudlight Dao Court army leave now. I'll give you half an incense stick's worth of time. If you haven't walked out of the trap and killing array after half an incense stick's worth of time, the array will close again. All Dao Court soldiers who want to fish in troubled waters will be killed directly. Ning Cheng's last sentence made the Jade Clear Dao Court and Luiying Dao Court's remaining Dao Court army not dare to move. Now that the Dao Court army and the trap and killing array was clearly separated, anyone who moved would be seen immediately. Seeing the densely packed Cloudlight Dao Court's army leave the trap and killing array, Chu Manha said in confusion, Ning Cheng, it took you a lot of effort to trap these people. If you let them go for these God's spiritual veins, it's not worth it. Ning Cheng smiled. If I can trap them twice, I can trap them a third time. If they dare to come again, I will dare to trap and kill them again. Ning Cheng sent out this sentence with his Dao runes, and almost everyone could hear it. The Dao Court's army that walked out of the trap and killing array had already made up their minds. Even if they had to quit the Dao Court army, they would never come to this damned place again. Ning Cheng also knew that Chu Manha was right. If he killed all the Dao Court's army, the spoils of war would probably be far more than what he wanted. However, Ning Cheng didn't do that. Firstly, he was indeed a bit lenient. After all, he came from Earth and wasn't used to such a massacre. Secondly, he didn't think it was necessary to do so. Even if he killed the Dao Court's army in the trap and killing array, it wouldn't change the fact that the Grand Essence realm was far weaker than the Grand Simplicity realm. It would only increase the Grand Simplicity realm's desire and hatred for the Grand Simplicity realm. Besides, he had already obtained the released soil, which was the most important thing to him. Looking at the Cloudlight Dao Court's Yi Qianhua from the Jade Clear Dao Court took a deep breath and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng from afar. Dao Lord Ning's broad-mindedness is truly admirable. Although my Jade Clear Dao Court isn't rich, we can still take out 100 top-grade God spiritual veins and 100,000 high-grade God spiritual veins. Can Dao Lord Ning please let go of my Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Court army? Ning Cheng said in a calm voice, My Grand Simplicity realm loves peace and doesn't like killing. You, the Grand Simplicity realm, have always been aggressive. Some people even sent innocent Dao Court's army to their deaths for their own desires. Does such a person deserve to be the lord of a realm? After disdaining Yin Xingwen in public, Ning Cheng continued, Dao Lord Yi, don't forget that Thunder Dao Lord also took out a piece of released soil. Yi Qianhua showed an ugly smile and said with some difficulty, Released soil is something that can only be found by chance. My Jade Clear Dao Court isn't as rich as the Cloudlight Dao Court, but I can take out half a heaven-raising Dao fruit. Heaven-raising Dao fruit. Ning Cheng's heart moved. It was a treasure that could help one comprehend the Dao unification realm. Although he didn't think he needed it, there were too many primordial chaos holy emperors in the Grand Simplicity realm who needed it. Unfortunately, there was only half a heaven-raising Dao fruit. In fact, even if one had a heaven-raising Dao fruit, the chance of comprehending the Dao unification realm was very slim, let alone half. But at the same time, even the slimmest chance was still an opportunity. Therefore, after Yi Qianhua mentioned the heaven-raising Dao fruit, it immediately attracted a lot of attention. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before saying, Okay, half it is. Seeing the Jade Clear Dao Court and Cloudlight Dao Court's trapped army retreating, the Luiying Dao Court's remaining army in the Death Trap array suddenly panicked. Several Luiying Dao Court's army wanted to follow the Jade Clear Dao Court's people, but just as they moved, they were discovered and killed. Seeing the remaining 2 to 3 million Luoying Dao Court's army, Yin Xingwen knew that he couldn't pretend not to know. Helpless, he could only cup his fists towards Ning Cheng. Dao Lord Ning, can you release the Luoying Dao Court's army? I'm also willing to pay the same amount of top-grade and high-grade God spiritual veins. The Luoying Dao Court only had 2 to 3 million people. Yin Xingwen was willing to pay so many God spiritual veins. Apart from showing that he didn't give up on the Grand Change Dao Court's army, there was another reason. He probably wanted to arrange for someone to take over the Luoying Dao Court. The Luoying Dao Court had fought 2 wars, and the Dao Court's army had been completely destroyed. Not only had 2 Dao Lords fallen, but even the Dao Unification Holy Emperor had also fallen. It was the most appropriate time to take over the Luoying Dao Court. Ning Cheng knew that even if he didn't agree, Yin Xingwen could still take over the Luoying Dao Court. He could even save some God spiritual veins. Just as Ning Cheng was about to speak, a sound transmission suddenly fell into his ear. Yin Xingwen invited several Grand Dao Courts to send out their army mainly because he has a small jar of primal qi. This sound transmission only said one sentence before disappearing. Ning Cheng had no idea who sent it. However, Ning Cheng's heart moved. He had the 5 elemental primal qi, but he didn't have primal qi. The difference between primal qi and the 5 elemental primal qi was that primal qi wasn't fused with the 5 elemental laws. If Star One World Lord truly wants to save the Luoying Dao Court's army, I would naturally be more than happy to do so. Just like the previous 2 Dao Courts, Star One World Lord has a small jar of primal qi, which he has to take out, Ning Cheng said calmly. Yin Xingwen's heart thumped. He knew that someone must have betrayed him. If he didn't take out the primal qi, he probably wouldn't be able to touch the Luoying Dao Court anymore. If he didn't save the millions of Luoying Dao Court's army that he could save, it would be strange if he could still take over the Luoying Dao Court. Ning Cheng didn't care about Yin Xingwen's hesitation. At this moment, he finally had the time to bow to Qinglan. Ning Cheng thanks Senior Qinglan for saving me. I also thank Senior for helping the Grand Essence Realm. Chapter 1171. Qinglan was tall and didn't have a beard. He looked like an ordinary middle-aged man, but the Dao charm around him was like a vast universe. He looked at Ning Cheng for a while before nodding and saying with a smile, "You're very good. You helped the Grand Essence Dao Court form the Grand Essence Dao Court army with your Dao Essence strength. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid that the Grand Essence realm would have become a tragedy." Ning Cheng also smiled. Fortunately, Senior Qinglan arrived in time. Otherwise, I might have died here. Qinglan also chuckled. First, I didn't arrive in time. I've been here for a long time, but I didn't make a move. Second, you don't have to play tricks in front of me. Even if I didn't come, Ao Beijiang might not have been able to kill you. Ning Cheng didn't answer. Qinglan had arrived a long time ago, and he had already guessed it. As for what this veteran Dao integration Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Realm was waiting for, he didn't know. However, Qinglan's second sentence was right. Even if Qinglan didn't come, it wouldn't be easy for Ao Beijiang to kill him. Okay, I agree. After Yin Xingwen finished speaking, he threw out a pitch-black jar and a ring. The jar contains primal chaos qi, which is also my most precious item. The ring contains God spirit veins. Take a look. As long as you can release all the trapped Dao Court army of the Grand Change Realm, what's the harm in giving them to you? Ning Cheng grabbed the small jar and the ring and scanned them with his spiritual consciousness. He immediately knew that Yin Xingwen wasn't lying. He didn't care about Yin Xingwen's actions and opened the trap and kill array without hesitation. Looking at the Dao Court army rushing out of the trap and kill array, Ning Cheng knew that Yin Xingwen's status as the Realm Lord of the Grand Change Realm wouldn't fall because of this army. Instead, it would rise to another level. Before, he only relied on his own strength to become the Realm Lord. But now he had a Dao Court that belonged to him. Realm Lord Xingwen, seeing that we are all from the 5 Grand Realms, I don't want to kill these innocent Dao Court army soldiers who were instigated by you. Otherwise, do you think you can save so many people with this little thing? I killed them, and the spoils of war I collected from them were probably more than that. But if there's a next time, don't blame me for being impolite. At that time, it won't be your Grand Simplicity Dao Court's army that comes to my Grand Simplicity realm. Instead, I will bring my Grand Simplicity army to your Grand Simplicity realm. Ningcheng also knew that he was just saying it. As for taking the army to the Grand Change realm, he wouldn't do it unless he was crazy. The Dao court army obviously wouldn't use their full strength to invade. Once Tai Su attacked Tai Yi, his battle prowess would increase by more than a few times with the help of the Realm Protection Grand Formation. Besides, the Grand Essence realm had Qing Lan, and the Grand Change realm probably had more people like Qing Lan. In Xingwen, In Yang Lukon, In Lan, Xing Tian Xingwen and Ti, Chen A King King Dao, giving away so many things, yet still looking at Ning Cheng and making sarcastic remarks. In Xingwen felt a strong sense of grievance in his heart. Qing, Dao Ling Lord Lan Qing Qing Long Qing, Qing, Xing Qing Ti. The chaotic and murderous Grand Essence realm regained its calm once again. Even the court leaders of the Grand Essence Dao court army came forward to salute Ningcheng, and then left with their army. Soon, only 100 people remained in this bloody void battlefield. Ningcheng walked up to Lu Dongsa and handed the universe vegetation to Lu Dongsa with both hands. He then said gratefully, "Brother Lu, thank you for bringing people to help. If it weren't for you, I, Grand Essence, would have fallen into a more passive state. This book is finally returned to its rightful owner. Ningcheng thanks you again." Lu Dongsa put away the universe vegetation. Ningcheng returned and laughed. "Ningcheng, we're close friends. Don't be so polite. It's a pity that I can't influence the Grand Beginning realm to mobilize the army. I didn't expect your Dao court to be so powerful. Even if I didn't come, you wouldn't be afraid of Yin Xingwen. If Brother Lu didn't come, I wouldn't be so relaxed. Let's all come to my Grand Essence Dao court as guests. It's not good to stand outside." Ningcheng wasn't talking nonsense. If Lu Dongsa hadn't brought dozens of primordial chaos experts, Grand Essence might have won, but it would have been difficult to trap so many Dao court army. Under Ningcheng's lead, the group entered the guest hall of the Grand Essence Dao court. Lu Dongsa and the others had come to help. Moreover, the Grand Essence Dao court had won another battle. Although they didn't kill many this time, it greatly boosted Grand Essence's morale. Ningcheng was even more enthusiastic towards Lu Dongsa and the others. He gave them all kinds of Dao fruits just to entertain Lu Dongsa and the other holy emperors from the Grand Beginning realm. Although Xiao Qiandong of the Grand Beginning realm was also among Ningcheng's welcome list, he clearly felt that Ningcheng's welcome towards him was much less. Xiao Qiandong couldn't express his dissatisfaction. When Ningcheng needed it most, he hesitated and didn't come forward to help. Moreover, the strength of the Grand Essence realm was far beyond his and Li Jianqing's estimation. If Grand Essence and Grand Beginning confronted each other, it was really hard to predict who would win in the end. The guests and the host enjoyed the banquet. In the end, Ningcheng personally sent Lu Dongsa out of the Grand Essence realm. Qinglan also exchanged information with Ningcheng and left the Grand Essence realm. Ningcheng could see that Qinglan didn't think much of Kang Xiushan and Shi Yiqing. Moreover, Shi Yiqing and Kang Xiushan were also a little afraid of Qinglan, so they tried not to get together. After this battle, Ningcheng's prestige in the Grand Essence realm soared to the sky. It could be said that Dao Ningcheng of the Grand Essence Dao court had become a true Dao lord at this time. As long as Ningcheng issued a Dao lord order, even Wang Huazhong of the River Luo sacred sect wouldn't dare to disobey the Dao Lord order. "Dao Lord Ning, I have to return to the Grand Beginning realm first. When it's time to set up the teleportation array, I will come to Grand Essence to invite Dao Lord." Xiao Qiandong became more polite. He could see that Ningcheng didn't like him. Originally, he wanted to take Ningcheng away after the battle, but now it seemed that he shouldn't even mention it. Ningcheng nodded. "Okay then, Court Pillar Li Feng, please send off Dao friend Xiao." Xiao Qiandong had helped Shi Yiqing a little. Otherwise, Shi Yiqing might have suffered some serious injuries. Therefore, even though Xiao Qiandong was a snake and a rat, Ningcheng still politely asked Li Feng to send off Xiao Qiandong. Xiao Qiandong felt helpless in his heart. Lu Dongsa was a primordial chaos holy emperor, and yet Ningcheng had personally sent him off. Moreover, Ningcheng had only asked Li Feng, a court pillar, to send him off. Moreover, he could also guess that if the Grand Beginning Realm really invited Ning Cheng to set up an array in the future, it wouldn't be easy to invite him. Ning Cheng had always followed this principle. How others treated him, he would treat others the same way. If Xiao Qiandong wanted to take advantage of him without putting in any effort, then he could only dream about it. Ning Cheng, let's go to the Grand Essence Sea. Seeing that Ning Cheng's matters were over, Chu Manhe spoke up. Okay, let's go now. Ning Cheng was also thinking about the innate dragon bead in the Grand Essence Sea's dragon washing pool. Now that the Grand Essence Realm was under his protection, the first thing he needed to do was get the innate dragon bead. Outside the Grand Essence dragon washing pool, 36 primordial chaos powerhouses stood according to their positions. Under the guidance of the Black Whitebeards and Peng Yuan, each of them held an array flag in their hands. The Black Whitebeards made a move, and the 36 array flags blasted into the edge of the dragon washing pool, along with 36 primordial chaos law forces. The entire Grand Essence Sea began to tumble at this moment. Even the Sunken Fish Palace and the Silver Dragon Clan, which were far away from the dragon washing pool, trembled slightly. Powerhouses from these two places rushed out of their sects to find out what was going on. The Dao Charm law forces outside the dragon washing pool continuously squeezed together, and the water vapor in the dragon washing pool instantly dried up under these law forces. The rumbling sounds grew louder and louder, and the dragon washing pool finally cracked open. A fist-sized cyan bead suddenly rose from the middle of the cracked dragon washing pool, bringing with it a myriad of pure essence qi. Ning Cheng, this is the innate dragon bead of the dragon washing pool. Hurry up and seal the innate dragon bead. Peng Yuan immediately shouted at Ning Cheng when he saw the cyan bead. Without waiting for Peng Yuan's reminder, Ning Cheng rushed up and put away the innate dragon bead. Ning Cheng naturally knew about treasures like the innate dragon bead. He had once obtained one, and the Grand Essence Trap and Kill Array Formation's core treasure was an innate dragon bead. After Ning Cheng put away the innate dragon bead, the rumbling sounds of the Grand Essence Sea immediately subsided and soon returned to normal. However, the dragon washing pool here no longer had the pure spiritual spirit essence qi from before. Only the aura of the dragon washing pool had yet to dissipate. Many thanks for your help. Otherwise, I would never have obtained this innate dragon bead. Ning Cheng held the innate dragon bead in his hand and thanked everyone with cupped fists. The Black Whitebeards laughed. This was originally yours. The reason why we could recover so quickly is because of your dragon washing pool. Ning Cheng put away the innate dragon bead and said again, although the Grand Essence Realm's laws are incomplete, I'm still working hard. If you want to live in the Grand Essence Realm, you can look for spiritual mountains in the Grand Essence Realm. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to finish, Peng Yuan stood up. We're all friends. Let me speak this time. Everyone discussed it before. 12 of you, like me, want to stay in the Grand Essence Realm. The rest want to go to the Void to look for opportunities, so we won't be staying here for the time being. When Ning Cheng heard that most people wanted to leave the Grand Essence Realm and enter the Void, he felt a little reluctant in his heart. But he still spoke up. Whether you leave or stay here, everyone is here to help me, Ning Cheng. In the future, you will always be my friends. I have nothing else to give you, but my friendship with Ning Cheng. Thank you, friends, for helping me, Ning Cheng. If you have any difficulties in the future, as long as you come to me, Ning Cheng, I will definitely help you. I've prepared a few rings here, each with 3 top-grade spirit veins, 1,000 high-grade spirit veins, and 100 million spirit crystals. This is a small token of my appreciation, and I hope that you won't refuse it. Everyone felt overjoyed. Ning Cheng's gift was quite generous for a person. Don't look at Dao Lords taking out IOU and top-grade spirit veins. But how many Dao Lords did they have? Most of these spirit veins were the wealth of a Dao court. More importantly, it was Ning Cheng's promise of friendship. From this battle, all the people could see that Ning Cheng's potential was huge. As a primordial chaos holy emperor, he really didn't amount to much in the endless void. Who could be sure that nothing would happen in the future? With Ning Cheng as a friend, no one would refuse. Chapter 1172. In the Grand Change Realm's main mountain, Yin Xingwen's expression was gloomy. Although the hall was full of people, the silence was somewhat oppressive. After a long time, Ao Beijiang, who was sitting a little further away, stood up. Brother Xingwen, I was too timid this time and was scared away by Qinglan. If it wasn't for me, perhaps everyone's losses would have been smaller. As a Dao integration divine emperor who had survived the second blight, it was indeed extremely embarrassing for Ao Beijiang to expose his own scars. However, he had no choice. He couldn't leave the Grand Change realm. Since he couldn't leave, he had to bow his head to Yin Xingwen. Fortunately, Yin Xingwen was his good friend, so bowing his head wasn't a big deal. Moreover, he believed that no one was stupid. Even if Ao Beijiang hadn't fled, everyone would still have suffered losses. Yin Xingwen shook his head. Beijiang, you're not to blame this time. Qinglan was already hiding to the side. He was waiting for that opportunity. If you hadn't left, I'm afraid you would have been in danger. Although the several primordial chaos divine emperors in the hall despised Ao Beijiang for fleeing shamelessly, they knew that Yin Xingwen was speaking the truth. If Ao Beijiang hadn't fled decisively, he might have really been killed by Qinglan. Ao Beijiang cupped his fists and said again. This time, the Grand Change realm suffered heavy losses and the Glazed Pearl Dao Court was crippled. The Grand Change realm has always had 5 Dao courts that supported each other, and were extremely stable. Now that the Glazed Pearl Dao Court is gone, I suggest that Xingwen Realm Lord come forward and establish a new Dao Court. The new Dao Court can change its name to the Grand Change Dao Court. Yin Xingwen nodded in his heart. Ao Beijiang's words were like that of a brother. Standing up to support him establishing the Grand Change Dao Court was indeed a great support. However, he knew very well that it was possible to establish a Dao Court, but impossible to establish a Tai Dao Court. Sure enough, as soon as Ao Beijiang finished speaking, Jie Xinshui of the Grand Mystery Dao Court stood up. The Grand Mystery Dao Court agrees with Brother Beijiang's suggestion. The Grand Change realm cannot lose the Glazed Pearl Dao Court. I also agree with Xingwen Realm Lord overseeing the restructuring of the Glazed Pearl Dao Court. However, the Great Change World's 5 Great Dao Courts are combined to form the Great Change Dao Court. Changing the name of the Glazed Pearl Dao Court to the Great Change Dao Court is somewhat inappropriate. Just as Jie Xinshui finished speaking, Lei Xiran and Yi Qianhua stood up. Even the court pillar representing the Yaohua Dao Court, Guruwashi, stood up. They all expressed that the Glazing Dao Court was not suitable to change its name. Initially, when Yin Xingwen presided over the Dao Court's army's siege of the Grand Essence Realm, the other Dao Court's Dao Lords did not have to give Yin Xingwen face. They did not even attend Yin Xingwen's invitation. However, with the decline of the Glazing Dao Court, the Glazing Dao Court would definitely be taken over by Yin Xingwen. Yin Xingwen was originally a world lord. Now that he had taken over the Glazing Dao Court, he would definitely be much stronger than before. In the face of Yin Xingwen who was getting stronger and stronger, they didn't want to make things too tense. It could be said that the only one who benefited from the 2 defeats of the Tai Dao Court army was none other than the Tai Realm Lord, Yin Xingwen. If Lei Xiran and the others hadn't followed him to the Grand Essence Realm, they would have even suspected Yin Xingwen's conspiracy. Feeling helpless in his heart, Yin Xingwen had no choice but to stand up and say, "Several Dao Lords have a point. I will reorganize the Glazing Dao Court. As for the name, it will still be the Glazing Dao Court. One more thing, does anyone have any thoughts on the defeat of the Tai Dao Court army?" No one spoke, and everyone remained silent. Yin Xingwen sighed in his heart. The Dao Court army really couldn't do without him. Normally he wouldn't be able to see it. But at such a critical time, it clearly showed itself. In fact, in Yin Xingwen's heart, it made sense to launch a counterattack against the Grand Essence Realm at this time. The Grand Essence Realm had just defeated the Tai Dao Court army, but the Grand Essence Realm had borrowed a lot of its power. After this battle, Xiao Qiandong of the Grand Beginning Realm would definitely leave. Moreover, Qinglan might also leave. Coupled with the unknown experts invited by Ning Cheng, he didn't know how many of them would stay. As for the primordial chaos holy emperors of the Absolute Beginning Pill Association, they definitely wouldn't stay. The Grand Change Realm was different. The Grand Change Realm could easily find more Dao integration holy emperors. If the major Dao courts worked together, it wouldn't be impossible to find 7 or 8 Dao integration holy emperors to go to the Grand Essence realm together. It could be said that if they launched a counterattack at this time, their chances of winning would be very high. Unfortunately, he was the only one who thought so. No one else was willing to speak up. Seeing that no one stood up to speak, Yin Xingwen had to take the initiative to speak up. In that case, let's end this discussion here. I will establish the Glazing Dao Court as soon as possible and enhance the strength of the Grand Change realm. Everyone stood up one after another and left. Yin Xingwen sighed in his heart. At this moment he even envied Ning Cheng. Although the Grand Essence realm was weak, Ning Cheng's status in the Grand Essence realm was higher than his in the Grand Change realm. Previously he didn't care much about whether he could really speak to the entire Grand Change realm. This time, when the Grand Essence realm discovered the Mountain of the World, he still couldn't snatch it. If he was strong enough and could snatch the Mountain of the World, he would most likely become the first expert to set foot on the 3rd step. But because he didn't have enough strength, he couldn't obtain the Mountain of the World. Ao Beijiang didn't leave. After sending everyone away, Yin Xingwen was about to continue asking about the Mountain of the World, when he suddenly received a message. After sending out the same message, he looked at Ao Beijiang and smiled. Beijiang, this Feng Xian really doesn't want to give up. He even came here to find me. Ao Beijiang sighed in his heart but said, Brother Xingwen, I suspect that Feng Xian didn't come to find you this time because of the Grand Essence realm. I know this person a little, and I believe he doesn't have the guts to go to the Grand Essence realm. Yin Xingwen nodded. I know even if you don't say it. He should be here for his 7th brother and 11th brother. While the two spoke, Feng Xian was brought in by someone. Feng Xian greets Xingwen Realm Master and Brother Beijiang. This time, Feng Xian's strength isn't good enough, so I came to ask for forgiveness. Feng Xian immediately apologized in a low voice. After saying these words, perhaps only he knew the grievance in his heart. As the palace master of the Boundless Palace, how many people would come to the Boundless Palace to listen to his Dao discussion conference? But today he had to beg others in a low voice. Perhaps only he could understand this feeling. Because of Ning City, his Boundless Palace was no longer the Boundless Palace of the past. Even if he didn't die, he knew in his heart that the glory of the Boundless Palace was over. The generosity and prestige that he had built up over the years had probably been used up by now. Under such circumstances, he had to come to Yin Xingwen. Feng Qi and Feng Shi were killed in the heavens beyond. Feng Xian couldn't swallow this anger. What's more, he had to bring back Feng Qi's body. Even if there was no corpse, he had to find the trace of 7-colored phoenix bloodline in Feng Qi. Daoist friend Xian is too polite. The situation at the time wasn't your fault. Since Daoist friend Xian is here, please take a seat. Yin Xingwen still had a demeanor. Even though Feng Xian had escaped, he still showed some politeness. Feng Xian didn't mention the things they had discussed before. Instead, he said, Realm Master Xingwen, my Boundless Palace has been operating in the void for many years and has accumulated some treasures. I once obtained a lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune. Yin Xingwen suddenly stood up and asked excitedly, Daoist friend Xian, did you say that you once obtained a lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune? He couldn't help but feel excited. Why did he lead the Dao Court's army to besiege the Grand Essence realm? Wasn't it because Ao Beijiang said that Ning City had the World Mountain? The green lotus of good fortune was a treasure no worse than the World Mountain. Moreover, it was a good fortune treasure. Feng Xian's purpose for mentioning the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune at this time was obvious. Feng Xian nodded affirmatively and said in a calm tone, Yes, it is indeed the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune. Realm Master Xingwen might know that my Feng clan has the bloodline inheritance of the ancient 7-colored phoenix. This inheritance may be useless to others, but it is the only way out for my Feng clan. My younger brother, Feng Qi, is the only inheritor of the 7-colored phoenix bloodline in the Feng clan. Now he has fallen in the heavens beyond. Yin Xingwen did not wait for Feng Xian to continue and took the initiative to say, I understand what you mean, Daoist Xian. Since I've agreed, I have to go with you. No matter what, I will help you find the trace of the 7-colored phoenix bloodline in Feng Qi. When Feng Xian heard this, he immediately stood up excitedly. Thank you, Star Rune Boundary Lord. As long as Star Rune Boundary Lord can help me find the trace of Phoenix bloodline of the Feng family, Feng Xian's life as Boundary Lords. After that, I want to invite you to the Boundless Palace. I want to personally deliver the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune. Yin Xingwen smiled slightly and nodded. Okay, in that case, we will go to the heavens beyond after I've settled the matters of the Dao court. By the way, Beijiang can also go with me. Ao Beijiang opened his mouth, but did not say what he wanted to say in the end. He thought that Feng Xian's two younger brothers had ordinary cultivation levels, so the person who had killed them was definitely not the terrifying person he had imagined. In any case, he did not want to go to the heavens beyond now. Even if he wanted to go, he would have to wait until he reached the third step. Great Essence Mountain was Ning Cheng's residence. In addition to Ning Cheng, there were 12 primordial chaos sacred emperors, including Chu Manha. Originally, these 12 primordial chaos sacred emperors had not left the Great Essence realm, and Ning Cheng had wanted to find another place for them. However, these primordial chaos sacred emperors had taken a fancy to Great Essence Mountain. Fortunately, Great Essence Mountain was vast and Ning Cheng had many supreme-grade divine spirit meridians. Therefore, he simply invited everyone to live in Great Essence Mountain. Ning Cheng also stayed in Great Essence Mountain to stabilize his cultivation level. He was at the middle stage primordial Dao realm, which was already considered an expert in the Great Essence realm. Ning Cheng knew very well that his strength was not worth mentioning in the Great Change realm. Ning Cheng urgently needed to go to the Great Change realm. Shi Qianghua was in the Great Change realm, so he could not bring the Dao court army there. The only way was to find Qianghua with a high cultivation level. Chapter 1173. After the 5 Grand Realms experienced the 2 battles of Grand Essence and Grand Change, the 5 Grand Realms suddenly calmed down. Not only did the 5 Grand Realms calm down, but even this part of the void also became very quiet. Ning Cheng stayed in seclusion in the Grand Essence Mountain. From time to time, he would discuss the Dao with the Dao fusion powerhouses from the Perpetual Moon sect. As a result, his cultivation became more and more stable. Coupled with the rich spiritual spirit essence Qi in the Grand Essence Mountain, his cultivation continued to rise. Ning Ruolin, Yanji, and Luofei cultivated in such a place, and with Ning Cheng's guidance, their cultivation progressed even faster than Ning Cheng's. 2 years passed by in a flash. On this day, Ning Cheng had just finished discussing the Dao with Peng Yuan and the black and white bearded man when someone suddenly touched the defensive array. His spiritual consciousness swept out, and saw Li Feng standing outside the defensive array with a low-level cultivator he didn't know. Li Feng was the pillar of the Grand Essence Dao Court. The Grand Essence Dao Court didn't have any defensive arrays. Therefore, apart from Ning Cheng, Li Feng had the highest status. But Li Feng, who had the highest status, brought an eternal cultivator here to find him. Something must have happened. Ning Cheng immediately opened the defensive array and invited Li Feng into the Grand Essence Mountain, where he discussed the Dao with others. Court Pillar Li, this is? Ning Cheng looked at the eternal level cultivator behind Li Feng in doubt. He could tell that Li Feng had brought this eternal level cultivator to him. Li Feng pointed to the eternal cultivator and said, he came back to the Grand Essence realm and found the Grand Essence Dao Court. He said that he had something urgent to discuss with you. Seeing Ning Cheng looking over, the eternal cultivator quickly stepped forward and bowed to Ning Cheng. Junior Lu Shima, entrusted by Senior Jiang Man and Senior Mu Yueping, came to see Senior Ning. Hearing the words Jiang Man and Mu Yueping, Ning Cheng immediately asked, where are Jiang Man and his wife? Why didn't they come by themselves? Ning Cheng had met Jiang Man and Mu Yueping in the Grand Essence Sea. The two of them were honest and upright, and had even lent Ning Cheng the Karma Grand Spirit technique. It's just that Ning Cheng hadn't cultivated this spirit technique. Therefore, when Ning Cheng heard the news about the two of them, he quickly asked. Lu Shima quickly replied. Senior Jiang Man and Senior Mu Yueping once came to Heaven Essence Sacred City. At that time, Dao Monarch wasn't in Heaven Essence Sacred City. The two seniors felt very happy about Dao Monarch taking control of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Later, When they heard that the Tao Lord needed the 5 soils, the 2 seniors decided to search for information on the 5 soils. A few years ago, when Senior Jiang Man learned that there was the primordial growing soil in the beyond of heaven and earth, he immediately decided to head there. Before Senior Jiang Man went to the beyond of heaven and earth, he asked me to report this matter to Tao Lord. Although I had the help of Senior Jiang Man's talisman, my cultivation was still too low. It took me a few years to rush back to Taisu. While speaking, Lu Shima took out a video crystal ball and handed it to Ningcheng. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness was on the crystal ball, and he immediately knew that Lu Shima was telling the truth. Jiang Man and Mu Yueping had really gone to the beyond of heaven and earth. From the looks of it, when Jiang Man and Mu Yueping came to the Heaven Essence Sacred City, he should have returned to the 4 grand starry skies. This was not the first time Ningcheng had heard of the beyond of heaven and earth. He had not expected that there would be news of the breathing soil there. Breathing soil was one of the most precious materials in the vast universe. It was even more precious than primal chaos chi. If such a thing appeared in the beyond of heaven and earth, Jiang Man and Mu Yueping would definitely not be able to obtain it. Ningcheng also knew their purpose, which was to help him find out where the breathing soil had gone. Ningcheng felt increasingly grateful to Jiang Man and his wife. They were indeed friends. When he had been chased by Deacon Xia, Jiang Man and Mu Yueping had also spared no effort to help him. Now that the 2 of them had gone to the beyond of heaven and earth and were working for him, Ningcheng naturally would not just ignore it. Thinking of this, Ningcheng decided to go to the beyond of heaven and earth. He said earnestly to Li Feng, "Court Pillar Li, I'm going to the beyond of heaven and earth. Take Lu Shima to the Tao Court and settle him down." Now that the news of the breathing soil had appeared, Li Feng knew that Ningcheng would go and have a look no matter what. The only thing he could do was to help Ningcheng stabilize the Taisu Tao Court, so that Ningcheng would not have any worries. In fact, after defeating the Taisu Tao Court's army led by Yin Xingwen for the 2nd time, Ningcheng's position as the Tao Lord of the Taisu Tao Court had become very stable. After sending Li Feng away, Ningcheng decided to look for Chu Manha and Yan Binji. Ningcheng had also heard of the beyond of heaven and earth. It was a place at the edge of a plain, and it was said that many experts would appear here. His current cultivation level was at the mid-stage primordial Tao realm. This cultivation level was enough for him to protect himself, but it might not be enough to fight for the breath soil. Chu Manha was an extremely powerful Tao integration sacred emperor, and Yan Binji was also a half-step Tao integration sacred emperor. With the help of the 2 of them, they could go anywhere in the void with their strength. Before Ningcheng reached Chu Manha's cave abode, the defense array of the Taisu mountain was triggered again. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and found 2 acquaintances, Su Shiqian and her fiancé, Su Yan. Ningcheng had a good impression of them. Su Shiqian and her grandfather, Su Jian, were kind people. Su Shiqian had saved his life in the past. Ningcheng hurriedly went out to welcome the 2 of them. "Junior sister Shiqian and junior brother Su have come from afar. Please come in." Seeing that Ningcheng had become the Tao Lord of the Taisu Tao Court without any arrogance, Su Shiqian and Su Yan were overjoyed. They felt even more cordial when they addressed Ningcheng as junior brother and junior sister. "Tao Lord, you are now the Taisu Tao Courts." Ningcheng didn't wait for Su Yan to finish and interrupted him with a wave of his hand. "Junior brother Su, when junior sister Shiqian saved me, I wasn't a Tao Lord. We met through trials and tribulations, and we are friends in times of adversity. If we were in the Tao Court, you could call me that too. But here, it would be too formal to say anything else." After hearing Ningcheng's words, Su Yan didn't continue and called him Brother Ning again. "Junior sister Shiqian and junior brother Su, why did you come from afar?" Ningcheng asked after pouring divine spirit tea for the 2 of them. Su Shiqian was now a Tao birth sacred emperor, and it seemed that she had used the miraculous crossing Tao pill he had given her. Otherwise, Su Shiqian wouldn't have advanced to the Tao birth realm so quickly. When Su Shiqian heard Ningcheng's words, she stood up and said in a solemn tone, "Big brother Ning, you and a senior sister went to my Su clan's corner. You're talking about senior sister Ruashi, right? Thanks to the map jade strip given by your father, senior sister Ruashi could leave Grand Essence Realm. Hearing Su Shiqian's words, Ningqing knew that she was talking about senior sister Ruoxi. Su Shiqian took in a deep breath and said in an even more solemn tone, "A few years ago, Su Yan and I went there. Because we knew that the Grand Simplicity Dao Court's army was coming. I thought that the Grand Essence realm would be plunged into misery and suffering. In order to keep our Su clan alive, my grandfather asked me to investigate the Miasma Canyon with weak laws in advance. In case we can't beat them in the future, we would have a place to retreat to." Ningcheng's heart thumped when he heard this, and he suddenly had a bad feeling. Since Su Shiqian came all the way here and talked about Ruoxi, something must have happened to the Miasma Canyon with weak laws that Ruoxi left. Sure enough, Su Shiqian said. That canyon was filled with miasma, so Su Yan and I went in carefully. The deeper we went, the colder we felt. Just when we couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to leave, we suddenly saw a frozen statue. Ningcheng suddenly stood up and asked in surprise, "The statue you saw was senior apprentice sister Ruoxi?" Su Shiqian nodded. Yes, it was senior apprentice sister Ruoxi. Although our people couldn't get through, we could still barely see something with our spiritual consciousness. That statue should be a shadow of senior apprentice sister Ruoxi, not senior apprentice sister Ruoxi's real body. When we hurriedly retreated, we saw a piece of cloth sealed in ice. That piece of cloth was the same color that senior apprentice sister Ruoxi wore. I was worried, so I hurried over with Su Yan to tell you about it. Ningcheng's expression turned ugly. If even a person's figure could be frozen, then how low would the temperature be? Moreover, a corner of Ruoxi's dress was frozen. From this, it could be seen that even if Ruoxi used the opening Heavenchild talisman to escape, the situation wouldn't be optimistic. After thinking for a long time, Ningcheng decided to go to the Su clan's corner first to see the Miasma Canyon where Ruoxi left. Jiang Man and his wife had gone to the heavens beyond heaven to inquire about the breath soil, so there shouldn't be any problems. If Ruoxi really froze in that ice-cold Miasma Canyon, then it would be a big problem. After making the decision, Ningcheng asked, "Junior apprentice sister Shiqian, will you and junior apprentice brother Su follow me back to the Su clan's corner? Or will you stay in Heaven Essence Sacred City?" Su Shiqian quickly replied, "In addition to this matter, I also came here to fight for a chance to survive in Heaven Essence Sacred City for the Su clan's corner. We didn't dare to come here before, but now that Heaven Essence Sacred City has strict laws and regulations, we might have a chance if we stay here." Ningcheng nodded. That's good too. Staying at the edge of the Su clan's corner, and with the demon vein in between, it would be difficult for us to grow. Well, I'll give you a jade card. After you arrive in Heaven Essence Sacred City, you can go directly to Court Pillar Ju Fanhen. He will help you with everything. Ningcheng was a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Therefore, Su Shiqian and Su Yan didn't doubt Ningcheng's words at all. She took the jade card, worried that Ningcheng would go to the Miasma Canyon with weak laws. "You don't have to worry about it. When things are over here, I will find a way to establish a long-distance teleportation array from Broken Thatch Spirit City to Heaven Essence Sacred City," Ningcheng said. He did intend to establish this teleportation array. Otherwise, the distance between Heaven Essence Sacred City and Su clan's corner would not only be far, but it would also be dangerous. There was a Grand Essence demon vein along the way, and the demonic beasts in the depths of the Grand Essence demon vein were too powerful. Even if the Broken Thatch Spirit City's void airship passed through the Grand Essence demon vein, it would have to pay enough spirit crystals. Once someone discovered something good, even if they paid a lot of spirit crystals, they would still end up robbed by the demonic beasts in the demon vein. Ningcheng was a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Therefore, he couldn't restrain the Grand Essence demon vein. A day later, Ningcheng spoke to Chu Manha and the others. He also told Madame Luofei and the others that he wanted to leave the Grand Essence Mountain. After that, he directly teleported to the Spirit Sea City. With his current speed, it would only take him a little more than a year to reach Su clan's corner. Moreover, he wasn't going to fight, so there was no need for Chu Manha and the others to go with him. When he came back from Su clan's corner and prepared to go to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, he would call Chu Manha and the others. Chapter 1174. It was too expensive. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart as he walked out of the teleportation array. With such an expensive price, how many people could afford it? Even those who wanted to come to the Grand Essence Beast Range to hunt demonic beasts couldn't afford such a price. It was no wonder that only 3 people were teleported here from Thousand Leaves Holy City. Wait, you have to pay 100,000 spirit crystals as the exit fee. Ning Cheng hadn't even walked out of the teleportation tower when he was stopped at the entrance. An eternal cultivator and a half-step Dao sculpting cultivator stopped Ning Cheng's group of 3. The half-step Dao sculpting cultivator spoke. When he said he had to pay the spirit crystals, his eyes only glanced at Ning Cheng's group of 3. Then he looked away as if Ning Cheng's group of 3 were air in his eyes. Ning Cheng was a middle-stage Dao essence cultivator, while the other 2 were Dao sculpting cultivators. This half-step Dao sculpting cultivator might not be able to see Ning Cheng's cultivation, but he could definitely feel the cultivation of the 2 Dao sculpting divine emperors. Now that he saw 2 Dao sculpting divine emperors with higher cultivation, and dared to ask for spirit crystals, it meant that they had a strong background. The 2 Dao sculpting divine emperors who came with Ning Cheng obviously didn't want to fall out with the Divine Sea Domain City over 100,000 spirit crystals. So they directly paid 100,000 spirit crystals, and hurried out of the Divine Sea Domain City. Ning Cheng stopped and asked, "Didn't I pay 6 million spirit crystals when I used the teleportation array? Why do I have to pay after coming out of the teleportation array? I've been to the Divine Sea Domain City before, and I've even seen Yuxing City Lord. Who set this rule?" If Ning Cheng wasn't Dao Lord Grand Essence, he might not have stopped to ask about a mere 100,000 spirit crystals. But as the Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court, he would have to take over the Divine Sea Domain City sooner or later. Before that, he had to ask about this matter. "Who told you that this is the rule of the Divine Sea Domain City?" "This is my rule." The half-step Dao sculpting divine emperor snorted coldly. Ning Cheng frowned, but before he could speak, the half-step Dao sculpting divine emperor snorted again. "You have to pay 200,000 spirit crystals. If you still want to talk, then pay 300,000. Ning Cheng didn't want to waste any more time here. Originally, he wanted to ask the reason and pay 100,000 spirit crystals before going to do something. He would return to Divine Sea City after he was done with his business. He hadn't expected that the price would be raised to 200,000 divine crystals, before he could even take out his divine crystals. Ning Cheng chuckled. "I won't hand it over." While speaking, he had already taken a step forward. When the half-step Dao sculpting cultivator saw that Ning Cheng dared to ignore him, he didn't hesitate to bring out several blade lights, intending to kill Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't even turn his head. After the several blade lights approached his domain, they bounced off the domain and immediately bounced back. The half-step Dao sculpting cultivator had clearly shot out these blade lights. But after Ning Cheng rebounded, he couldn't avoid them. He could only watch as the blade lights blasted him into pieces and killed him on the spot. The eternal level cultivator, who hadn't moved or spoken, suddenly froze when he saw Ning Cheng kill his companion without even lifting his hand. Only when Ning Cheng walked out of the transfer tower's entrance did he grab a red light and throw it out. Ning Cheng moved quickly. By the time the several lights landed in the Spirit Sea City, he had already brought out the Starry Sky Wheel and entered the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Who the hell did it? A man with a distorted face stared at the half-step Dao sculpting cultivator killed by Ning Cheng, and asked with a stern voice. This man was Yuxing, the Spirit Sea City city master, who had rushed back in time. The Spirit Sea City was his kingdom, and he was the king here. Now that someone dared to start a fight in his territory, it was simply courting death. Behind him, there were several other holy emperors who came with him. The eternal level cultivator spoke up in a trembling tone. It was a cultivator of unknown origin. He didn't want to pay 100,000 divine crystals, so Big Brother Su asked him for it. But out of anger, he killed Big Brother Su with a sneak attack. "You said he killed Wang Su with a sneak attack?" Yuxing's tone turned even colder. The eternal level cultivator didn't dare to refute it. Instead, he insisted, "This person has a high cultivation. I'm afraid that he's already in the Dao birth realm." With such strength, he still used a sneak attack to kill Big Brother Su. Shameless. Wang Su was city master Yu Xing's man. Therefore, this eternal level cultivator naturally didn't dare to say that Wang Su was trash. But Ning Cheng's cultivation did indeed surpass Wang Su, which was why he said that. Dao birth. No wonder he could rush out of the Divine Sea City in such a hurry. But does rushing out of the Divine Sea City mean he's fine? Yu Xing gave a cold snort. Over the years, he had killed many people who violated the rules of the Divine Sea City. This was Ning Cheng's second time entering the Grand Essence Demon Vein. The first time was when he was chased by Deacon Xia. In the end, he had to flee to the Grand Essence Sea and head to the other end of the Grand Essence domain from the Grand Essence Sea. It was also in the Grand Essence Sea that he met the Jiangman couple. This time, Ning Cheng came to the Grand Essence Demon Vein without any scruples. He directly brought out the Starry Sky Wheel and raised the speed of the Starry Sky Wheel to the maximum. Just like a flash tearing through space, it streaked across the Grand Essence Demon Vein. The Starry Sky will pass through the Grand Essence Demon Vein in such an arrogant manner. Even if it was at the edge of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, it couldn't help but alarm the powerhouses in the Grand Essence Demon Vein. After the Starry Sky will pass through the Grand Essence Demon Vein, several powerful lights rushed towards the place where the Starry Sky will pass through. It's just that the Starry Sky Wheel was too fast. Even if those demonic beasts saw the Starry Sky Wheel, they could only watch it disappear without a trace. Only a few powerful flying demonic beasts could chase after it for a while. But after a long time, the Starry Sky Wheel still lost them without a trace. In the past, it took Ning Cheng more than a year to get out of the corner of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. But now, it only took Ning Cheng 2 months to get out of the corner of the Grand Essence Demon Vein and reach the periphery of Broken Thatch Spirit City. Ning Cheng didn't intend to enter Broken Thatch Spirit City. His goal was the Miasma Canyon that Ruoxi had left through. It had nothing to do with Broken Thatch Spirit City. But when Ning Cheng passed through Broken Thatch Spirit City, he could feel a faint bloody aura permeating the air. Moreover, the Dao charm of demonic essence also soared into the sky. Since demonic essence soared into the sky, it meant that this place was dominated by demonic cultivators, or demonic beasts. But Broken Thatch Spirit City rarely saw demonic cultivators. What was going on? Just as Ning Cheng was still thinking about it, 3 figures rushed out of Broken Thatch Spirit City. Behind these 3 figures, 2 even faster streaks of light rushed out. Several Dao Charm Blade lights slid past. And of the 3 figures running in front, 2 of them were directly torn apart by the Dao Charm Blade lights, turning into a rain of blood. The third person escaped not far from Ning Cheng, and was about to be torn apart by the powerful Dao Charm Blade lights. Ning Cheng raised his hand to stop the Dao Charm Blade lights from rushing towards him, saving his life. This person's face turned pale. When the blade lights locked onto his space domain, he knew that he was finished. He didn't expect that someone would save him before he died. He quickly bowed to Ning Cheng. Many thanks for Senior's help. Senior, please leave. After the person finished speaking, he continued to run. But after walking for a while, he looked back and saw Ning Cheng not moving. He then turned back and said anxiously, Broken Thatch Spirit City is now a demonic beast city controlled by the Grand Essence Demon Vein. If human cultivators stay here, they will die if they aren't careful. Almost all the human cultivators here have been killed. Senior, please leave quickly. Ning Cheng's face suddenly sank. He knew about Broken Thatch Spirit City. It was the human city closest to the Grand Essence Demon Vein. This place was the boundary marker for the peaceful coexistence of humans and demonic beasts. Humans and demons had always barely maintained the balance. But now, demonic beasts openly occupied Broken Thatch Spirit City and killed human cultivators. It was simply a slap to the face of the Grand Essence Dao Court's Dao Lord. Ning Cheng finally saw the 2 figures who followed him. Although these 2 people had human forms, they were undoubtedly demonic cultivators. Their demonic essence surged, and their Dao charm surrounded them. From the looks of it, they were almost equivalent to Dao Transformation Realm Holy Emperors. Someone dares to stop the demon vein outside Broken Thatch Spirit City. Should I kill them or capture them? In a short time, the the two demonic cultivators rushed to the front of Ningcheng. The one who spoke was the demonic cultivator in front. Ningcheng knew that although these two demonic cultivators didn't have low cultivation, they weren't important figures. Therefore, he didn't wait for the second demonic cultivator to make a move. Instead, two time wheels swept out. The two demonic cultivators felt the space around them tighten. When time stopped, the two time wheels swept past them. Apart from a bloody mist, there was nothing left. Senior. The Tao-molding Holy Emperor, who was saved by Ningcheng, looked at the two bloody mists under Ningcheng's time wheels and called out in a trembling voice. Ningcheng frowned as he looked at Broken Thatch Spirit City and suddenly asked, "What's going on with Broken Thatch Spirit City?" Since Broken Thatch Spirit City was controlled by the Grand Essence Demon Vein, Su Shiqian should have told him about it. He didn't know if Su Shiqian didn't know about it, or if she had forgotten about it. "How dare you kill people in my demon vein?" Another few figures rushed out of Broken Thatch Spirit City. Under the pressure of their powerful auras, the Tao-molding Holy Emperor next to Ningcheng took dozens of steps back. However, under the protection of Ningcheng's domain, he managed to stop in his tracks. Ningcheng's gaze swept over the few people who came over, and saw 5 people. Ningcheng felt sure that among these 5 people, 3 were human cultivators, while the remaining 2 were demonic cultivators. The 3 human cultivators were all below Tao transformation, but one of the 2 demonic cultivators was at least equivalent to middle-stage Tao Essence Realm. The one who said "how dare" was the middle-stage Tao Essence Realm demonic cultivator at the front. Looking at his aura, he should be the leader of the 5 people who came out. After looking at them, Ningcheng said calmly, "You're wrong. I didn't just kill a human but a demon." The middle-stage Tao Essence demonic cultivator's eyes narrowed, and his killing intent suddenly pressed down on Ningcheng like a wave. The rest of the people consciously spread out. Obviously, they didn't want Ningcheng to leave. At this moment, a red light shot out of Broken Thatch Spirit City. A human cultivator behind the demonic cultivator raised his hand and grabbed the red light. After scanning it with his spiritual consciousness, he suddenly bowed and said, "Elder Pan, it's Divine Sea City's Yuxing City Lord." He came directly from the Demon Vein's teleportation array. Just as Elder Pan was about to speak, Yuxing's laughter came over. "Brother Pan, I'm not late, right? I heard that someone killed a Demon Vein disciple here. I guess this thug must be an evil cultivator who escaped from my Divine Sea City." As Yuxing said this, he felt as if someone was strangling his neck. He saw Ningcheng standing in front of him and staring at him coldly. Chapter 1175. Even if Yuxing was at the edge of the Grand Essence Realm, the Divine Sea City that even the Heavenly Emperor couldn't control, he wouldn't know who Ningcheng was. The person who established the Grand Essence Tao Court in the Grand Essence Realm was also the Tao Monarch of the Grand Essence Tao Court. He also led hundreds of thousands of array masters to arrange the Grand Essence Realm's protective Grand Array. Not only that, but Ningcheng also destroyed the Grand Essence Tao Court's army twice in a row, and opened the access restrictions between the Grand Essence Ruins and the Grand Essence Domain. His prestige in the entire Grand Essence Realm was boundless. Even if such a person killed all of Yuxing's disciples, he wouldn't be stupid enough to come here to cause trouble. Not to mention that Ningcheng had only killed one of Yuxing's dogs. Yuxing greets Tao Monarch. "Tao Monarch, please forgive Yuxing for being late to welcome you." Yuxing figured out his priorities in the shortest time possible, and quickly stepped forward to give a deep bow. He couldn't understand why Ningcheng came to this place. If it weren't for the news about the 5-element chaos chi, he wouldn't have come to this place. Even Tao transformation holy emperors wouldn't come to this place, let alone a Tao monarch like Ningcheng. If a Tao monarch would notice this corner, how could he, Yuxing, act like this? In fact, no matter how many powerful sects in the Grand Essence Realm built a teleportation array in the Divine Sea City, all this while no one had managed this place. Ningcheng's arrival made Yuxing's heart skip a beat. He knew that Ningcheng had come here once, but it was because of the 5-element chaos chi. But now there was nothing here. Tao monarch. Elder Pan immediately looked at Ningcheng in surprise when he saw Yuxing's appearance. Ning Cheng had done so many great things in the Grand Essence realm. How could he not know about the Grand Essence Demon Vein? It's just that the Grand Essence Demon Vein had existed for many years, and many powerhouses stronger than Ning Cheng had appeared in the Grand Essence realm. No one came to the Grand Essence Demon Vein, and didn't care about what the Grand Essence Demon Vein did. As long as the demonic beasts of the Grand Essence Demon Vein didn't invade the prosperous places of the Grand Essence Domain, no one from the Grand Essence Domain would come to this corner. What was going on this time? Why did a Dao monarch from the Grand Essence realm come to this place? Ning Cheng showed a cold smile. City Lord, you, a Dao Lord like me can't control you. Asking you to come out and greet me, haha, I wouldn't dare. When Yu Xing heard Ning Cheng's words, he immediately panicked in his heart. Although he wasn't very clear about Ning Cheng's means, he at least knew a thing or two. Back then, Ning Cheng had only been at the Dao sculpting realm. Yet he had made the Sea Sky Pavilion's Dao essence expert, Deacon Gorge, disappear. Now that Ning Cheng had reached the primordial Dao realm, he controlled tens of millions of Dao court soldiers. It could be said that killing a puny Yu Xing would be as easy as breathing. As for killing Ning Cheng to silence him, he had never even thought about it. If Ning Cheng was so easy to kill, then he would not have waited until now to act. Mansuatian is amazing, right? He killed the Elixir Association's guildmaster, Sitachun, Qiutian, and destroyed the Elixir Association. However, as soon as Ning Cheng returned, he rebuilt the Elixir Association and destroyed Mansuatian, who was a Dao integration expert. Well, if Mansuatian, a Dao integration stage powerhouse, was killed by Ning Cheng's sneak attack, Ao Beijiang and Feng Xian, the two Dao integration experts, couldn't have plotted against him, right? They even joined forces with hundreds of primordial chaos experts and millions of Dao court troops. What happened in the end? Didn't Ning Cheng kill them all? Not to mention Ao Beijiang. Even the Grand Change Realm's Realm Lord Yin Xingwen was powerful enough to invade the Grand Essence Realm with tens of millions of Dao court troops, 5 Dao integration Holy Emperors, and hundreds of primordial chaos Holy Emperors. As long as Yu Xing's brain wasn't damaged, he wouldn't want to go against Ning Cheng. So it's Dao Lord Ning. Bao Pan didn't recognize you before. Please forgive me. The primordial Dao realm demon cultivator immediately changed his action and changed his attacking posture to cupping his fists. Ning Cheng snorted coldly. I don't dare. The demon cultivators and demonic beasts have been living well in the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Why are you so impatient to come out and slaughter the human cultivator city? He knew that Ning Cheng meant that the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts were tired of living and wanted to come out to die. However, Bao Pan still explained. Dao Lord Ning misunderstood. We have never slaughtered Broken Thatch Divine City. There was a riot in Broken Thatch Divine City, resulting in countless deaths and injuries. Several leaders of Broken Thatch Divine City invited our Demon Vein cultivators to help. We are still trying to quell those rioting cultivators. I also misunderstood when Dao Lord passed by here. In fact, he didn't care much about it. He had seen this kind of thing many times in the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Ning Cheng was a Dao Lord. If he didn't care about it, then he wouldn't care about it. But since he wanted to take care of it, then he would give this new Dao Lord some face. Even if he had to take out some things, it wouldn't hurt. The other party was a Dao Lord from the Grand Essence Dao Court. No matter why he came to this place, he wouldn't stay for long. As for other things, he could continue after this Dao Lord left. You're talking nonsense. The Dao molding Divine Emperor saved by Ning Cheng had just recovered from the shock. He didn't expect that the person who saved him would turn out to be Dao Lord Ning Cheng of the Grand Essence Dao Court. One had to know that Dao Lord Ning Cheng's name was well known even in this peripheral area of the Grand Essence realm. If it weren't for Yu Xing occupying the Deep Sea region's teleportation array, no one would be able to teleport away from here. Many cultivators who stayed here would have already left this place. Now that he heard Bao Pan distort the truth, he immediately shouted. Bao Pan frowned. He was angry at the two demon cultivators killed by Ning Cheng. They couldn't even kill a puny Dao molding Divine Emperor and let the other party escape. They were simply too useless. Just when Bao Pan wanted to continue explaining, Ning Cheng's expression suddenly changed. He took a step towards Broken Thatch God City, Several demon cultivators, Yuxing and the others, saw Ningcheng come over. They didn't dare to stop him at all, and directly moved to the side. The Tao molding divine emperor following Ningcheng saw Ningcheng rush into Broken Thatch God City. He became anxious and also rushed in. Ningcheng had come to Broken Thatch God City several times. At this time, when Ningcheng entered this place, he smelled a thick smell of blood. Whether it was the streets or outside the shops, there was dark brown blood qi everywhere. In some places, the dried blood had even condensed into a thick layer. Ningcheng kicked the defensive array outside a merchant house. The defensive array split open, and a beautiful woman hung upside down on the counter. There was a bloody hole in her chest. Her aura had just stopped. Next to her corpse, there was a man wearing a floral robe with beast patterns. There was blood at the corner of the man's mouth. Obviously, it wasn't his blood but something he had just eaten. The man had a half-foot-long horn on the back of his head, and his whole body exuded a vicious aura. Ningcheng's heart was filled with anger. He blasted out a Dao Rune giant hand and directly locked the male demon with Dao nourishment cultivation. The next moment, Ningcheng threw the male demon into a spatial restriction he had set up. Ningcheng threw several flames into the restriction. A miserable scream rang out. The man didn't even have time to speak before he was wrapped in flames. Dao Lord Ning, quickly stop. Only then did Bao Pan's anxious voice come from behind. At the same time, Bao Pan raised his hand and grabbed at the spatial restriction Ningcheng had set up, wanting to save the screaming man inside. How could Ningcheng let Bao Pan save him? The Void Cold Light Spear swept up several Dao Rune Spear runes. These Dao Rune Spear runes directly tore apart the Dao Rune Law power that Bao Pan blasted out. Kacha under Ningcheng's Dao Rune Spear runes. The domain protecting Bao Pan's body directly tore deep cracks. Stop! Bao Pan panicked and quickly retreated. He knew that Ningcheng was powerful, but he didn't expect him to be this powerful. As a middle-stage Dao primordial demonic cultivator, he couldn't resist at all. How could Ningcheng stop? After entering Broken Reed Spirit City, and sensing that almost all the human cultivators here had been slaughtered, Ningcheng decided to kill all the demonic cultivators here, and destroy the Grand Essence Demon Vein. The Void Cold Light Spear cut through the void and locked the space. It swept up the traces of the Time Spear runes, and arrived in front of Bao Pan after Bao Pan said the word stop. Time and space stopped, and only the tip of the Void Cold Light Spear was still moving forward. This was a powerful combination of the laws of time and space. Bao Pan's eyes flashed with intense fear. He knew that he wasn't Ningcheng's opponent. Dao Lord Ning. The one trapped by your flame space is the Grand Essence Demon Vein's Sacred Emperor's son, Qiu Beifeng. Poof! Bao Pan could no longer continue speaking. Ningcheng's Void Cold Light Spear had already pierced through his glabella, turning him into a pool of blood mist. Only a ring remained, which Ningcheng took away. A Dao Essence Demon Vein's Sacred Emperor probably didn't have anything good. Ningcheng didn't take it to heart. As for the Grand Essence Demon Vein's Sacred Emperor, he didn't care about it at all. The Grand Essence Demon Vein was also the Grand Essence Realm's territory. Since it was the Grand Essence Realm's territory, it was under the Grand Essence Dao Court. He was a Dao Lord of the Dao Court. Even a Sacred Emperor would have to deal with him. The moment Ningcheng killed Bao Pan, apart from Qiu Beifeng, who was still wailing in pain, the surroundings turned silent. Whether it was Yuxing and the others, or some demonic cultivators, no one dared to speak. Dao Lord! Yuxing called out with a trembling voice. Ningcheng's strength had exceeded his expectations. Although Bao Pan was only at the middle stage Dao Essence realm, Yuxing had a clear understanding of Bao Pan's strength. Such a powerful demonic cultivator didn't even have the strength to fight back against Ningcheng. No wonder Ningcheng could kill Mansuatian. It was simply heaven-defying. At the same time, Yuxing also knew that there was no possibility of reconciliation between the Grand Essence Dao Court and the Demon Vein. He knew too well what kind of person Qiu Beifeng was. Now that Ningcheng burned Qiu Beifeng to death, it would be strange if the Sacred Emperor of the Demon Vein would stop. Ningcheng stared at Yuxing coldly. I'll give you a chance. Kill all the demonic cultivators, and the scum who joined the demonic cultivators in Broken Thatch Divine City. Of course, you're also a scum. I don't have anyone to use right now, so you're still a little useful. Ningqing wanted to kill Yuxing immediately, but he came alone this time. He didn't have anyone to use. Yuxing was a local snake. He could stabilize Broken Thatch Divine City in the shortest time possible. He could also effectively kill the most demonic beasts and demonic cultivators, and save more human cultivators. However, he wanted to take this opportunity to go to the Miasma Canyon where Ruashi left. Dao Lord's order, Yuxing promises to complete it. After Yuxing said these words, he brought out a blade-type artifact. Under Yuxing's sudden attack, none of the 4 cultivators who came with Baopan survived. Chapter 1176. Ningqing nodded. This Yuxing was quite decisive in saving his life. If Yuxing had hesitated, Ningqing wouldn't have minded killing him and wasting some time here. Dao Lord, I will immediately gather the human cultivators to deal with the rest of the demonic beasts and demonic cultivators. Seeing Ningqing's calm expression, Yuxing rejoiced in his heart. He knew that he had done the right thing. Ningqing nodded and said, Yuxing, I'll give you a chance. Organize all the human cultivators in Broken Thatch God City and the surrounding areas, and establish a new Dao Court army. This new Dao Court army's pillar will be Suji, and of Su Clan's corner. Send someone to Su Clan's corner, and invite Suji in here. You can be Suji An's deputy. Dao Lord, this junior is Li Hao. If it weren't for senior's help, this junior would have already fallen. This junior is willing to go to Su Clan's corner, and invite Senior Suji in here. The Dao Molding Holy Emperor, who Ningqing saved, also quickly spoke up. Okay, then you can stay by Suji, and side to help. Ningqing then looked at Yuxing. His gaze no longer had the same warmth as before. Instead, it contained a hint of killing intent. Yuxing's heart tightened. He knew that he didn't answer Ningqing's words immediately. Now that Ningqing looked at him, he didn't dare to hesitate anymore. He quickly bowed and said, Dao Lord, Yuxing will obey Dao Lord's order. But, Ningqing frowned. But what? Are you worried that you can't control Broken Thatch God City? Ningqing's spiritual consciousness had already swept through Broken Thatch God City. Yuxing was the strongest here. Apart from him, there was no other Dao Essence powerhouse here. Yuxing could control Broken Thatch God City, and kill all the demonic cultivators and demonic beasts in the city. Yuxing didn't dare to hesitate anymore. Dao Lord, the most powerful demonic cultivator in Broken Thatch God City is Baopan. Now that Dao Lord killed Baopan, this subordinate can take control of Broken Thatch God City. At the same time, I can also organize the surrounding human cultivators according to Dao Lord's will. Then what are you hesitating for? Ningqing asked coldly. Yuxing had no choice but to say, the demonic cultivators in Broken Thatch God City and the surrounding demonic beasts are nothing. What I'm worried about is the Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Within the Grand Essence Demon Vein, Sacred Emperor Qiu Yuxing was the most powerful demonic beast. He controls countless demonic cultivators and demonic beasts from the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Once he brings people out of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, I'm afraid that he wouldn't even need to do anything. Even Broken Thatch Spirit City would be flattened by him. What is Qiu Yuxing's cultivation? Ningqing suddenly asked. Yuxing bowed again. I'm not very sure about Qiu Yuxing's cultivation level, but I believe that even if he hasn't reached Dao integration, he should be close to it. I understand. You just need to do as I say. As for Qiu Yuxing, I'm afraid he doesn't have the energy to come here. After saying that, Ningqing raised his hand and threw out a ray of light. He then looked at Yuxing and said, I've already sent out the Dao Lord token. From now on, the name Grand Essence Demon Vein will disappear from the Grand Essence realm. It will be renamed to the Grand Essence Trial Area. I'll be leaving first. If you don't get what I want when I come back, don't blame me for being rude. With that, Ningqing's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Yuxing's back was drenched in cold sweat. What was an expert? Compared to a powerful Dao Lord like Ningqing, that holy emperor from the Grand Essence Demon Vein was nothing but a fart. Ningqing had just raised his hand and sent out the Dao Lord token. Yuxing didn't need to ask to know the content of this Dao Lord token. It most likely wanted to mobilize the Grand Essence Dao Court's army to destroy the Grand Essence Demon Vein. As for changing the name of the Grand Essence Demon Vein to the Grand Essence Trial Area, the implication was to kill all the controllers of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. As for those small ant-like demonic beasts, they would stay in the Grand Essence Demon Vein and let human cultivators come in to train. With a single sentence, it determined the fate of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Yuxing silently mourned for the Grand Essence Demon Vein's holy Emperor Qiu Yuxing. At the same time, he made up his mind to do things to satisfy the Dao Lord. Otherwise, no matter how capable Yuxing was, he wouldn't be able to escape the Dao Lord's hands. Dao friend Li Hao, I'm in Broken Reed Spirit City to reorganize the human cultivators and kill demonic beasts and demonic cultivators. I'll have to trouble you to go to Su Clan's corner and invite Senior Su Ji, and to come here to preside over the Dao Court's army. Yuxing had long forgotten that he was a Dao Essence Holy Emperor and a city lord. He cupped his fists and spoke politely to Li Hao, who he didn't even look at before. City Lord you don't have to do this. Li Hao will definitely complete this task. Li Hao quickly bowed back. Yuxing was polite to him, but he didn't dare to treat Yuxing casually. How could he not know who Yuxing was? This was a Dao Essence powerhouse and the Divine Sea City's city lord. Every cultivator who left the Divine Sea City had to go through Yuxing's nod. Yuxing deliberately stepped forward and patted Li Hao's shoulder. He smiled and said, Dao friendly, we're all working under the Dao Lord. Since the Dao Lord wants to destroy the Grand Essence Demon Vein, we must do it well. Most of the human cultivators in Broken Reed Spirit City who resisted had either died or escaped. Now that the slaughter had come to an end, it was once again happening in Broken Reed Spirit City. The only difference was that before, it was demonic beasts and demonic cultivators slaughtering human cultivators. But now under Yuxing's leadership, human cultivators slaughtered demonic cultivators and demonic beasts. More and more human cultivators appeared in Broken Reed Spirit City, while fewer demonic cultivators and demonic beasts appeared. Yuxing lived up to everyone's expectations. Before Su Ji arrived at Broken Reed Spirit City, he formed a Dao Court army of nearly 100,000 people. The Grand Essence Demon Vein existed longer than the Grand Essence Ruins. The Grand Essence Demon Vein already existed when the Grand Essence Realm was still intact. It's just that the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts could only hide in the Demon Vein and couldn't leave. After the Great Creation War, the Grand Essence Realm's laws shattered, and the Grand Essence Realm split into the Grand Essence Sea, the Grand Essence Ruins and the Grand Essence Domain. In contrast, the Grand Essence Demon Vein didn't change much. While the strength of the human cultivators in the Grand Essence Realm weakened, the strength of the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts rose rapidly. In the end, the Demon Vein's Holy Emperor took command. With the Demon Vein's Holy Emperor, the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts quickly gathered. Although there were still human cultivators hunting demonic beasts on the edge of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, that disadvantage was gone forever. If it weren't for the fear of the Grand Essence Realm's 10 major sects and the greed for the Broken Thatch Spirit City's toll, the Grand Essence Demon Vein would never allow the Broken Thatch Spirit City to open up an airship route to the Divine Sea City. In the deepest part of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, there was a luxurious building. From the looks of it, these buildings and caves weren't inferior to the Heaven Essence Sacred City. The buildings formed a huge city that was comparable to any holy city. It's just that most of the residents in this city were demonic beasts and demonic cultivators. Almost no human cultivators could be seen. Even if they did, they would quickly leave or disappear. At this time, in the most luxurious hall in the depths of the city, a man with 3-3-foot-long horns on the back of his head looked furious. In front of him was a recently killed human maid. Why did the news from 5 days ago only reach me now? The man stared angrily at the 2 demonic cultivators standing below him. This man was the Grand Essence Demon Vein's Holy Emperor, Qiu Yuxing. The 2 demonic cultivators didn't dare to speak at all. They didn't even dare to say that he had just returned today. Go gather 100,000 people, and follow me to flatten the Broken Thatch Spirit City. Qiu Yuxing punched the jade table in front of him and shouted. Boom. Without waiting for Qiu Yuxing's order, a shadow suddenly rushed in. Courting death. Qiu Yuxing raised his hand and was about to turn the shadow to ashes. But he soon stopped and asked with dissatisfaction. Yu Qi, you haven't been following me for a day or two. Why are you still so impatient? The man called Yu Qi finally stopped. He handed over a jade strip with a pale face and said, Holy Emperor, something bad has happened. Qiu Yuxing frowned when he heard these words. He grabbed the jade strip and snorted. Is the sky falling down? It's been so many years, but the more you live, the more you regress. The first time, Qiu Yuxing held back and didn't reprimand Yu Qi. But the second time, Yu Qi was still so impatient. Yu Qi didn't seem to hear the Holy Emperor's reprimand and still said anxiously, The Taisu Dao Court has sent a 10 million Dao Court army. There are 2 Dao integration experts and dozens of primordial chaos experts. They have already gathered at the edge of the Divine Sea City. I estimate that they will attack the Taisu Demon Meridian in one day. Once the 10 million Dao Court army attacks the Taisu Demon Meridian, we will be in danger. What? Qiu Yuxing's hand shook when he heard this, and the jade strip fell to the ground. After a breath, he grabbed Yu Qi and asked anxiously, The Taisu Demon Meridian has no enmity with the Taisu Dao Court. When the Taisu Dao Court was established, we even sent a congratulatory gift. Why does the Taisu Dao Court want to deal with the Taisu Demon Meridian? Why? Yu Qi took a few deep breaths and said carefully, I know that young Master Bei Feng offended the Dao Lord of the Taisu Dao Court so. Even in death, this beast won't let me off easily. Why did he have to provoke the Dao Lord of the Taisu Dao Court? Qiu Yuxing became even angrier. He completely forgot about avenging his son and raising the broken thatched divine city. Yu Qi felt helpless in his heart. Isn't this caused by you spoiling him too much? The name Bei Feng sounds like a treasure to me. He could only answer honestly. Bei Feng colluded with the Broken Thatch Divine City's city master and wantonly killed the human cultivators of Broken Thatch Divine City. It wasn't a big deal, but the Dao Lord Ning Cheng of the Taisu Dao Court passed by Broken Thatch Divine City and saw it. In the end, Ning Cheng killed Bei Feng and issued a Dao Lord order to destroy the Taisu Demon Meridian. That beast, who let him touch Broken Thatch Divine City. If I could touch Broken Thatch Divine City, why would this father wait until today? How could Qiu Yuxing still have the mood to avenge his son? What's more, it wasn't about revenge, but the other party didn't want to let go of his Taisu Demon Meridian. As soon as Qiu Yuxing said this, another red light shot in. Qiu Yuxing grabbed the red light and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. He immediately shouted in anger, You've gone too far. My Taisu Demon Meridian isn't easy to mess with. Pass my sacred royal order. Gather all the forces of the Taisu Demon Meridian. Chapter 1177. Ning Cheng soon arrived at the Miasma Canyon where Ruoxi left. The canyon was still filled with miasma. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept inside and found that the laws of space here were indeed a bit weak. Using the opening Heaven Child talisman to tear through the weak space here wasn't a problem at all. With Ning Cheng's current strength, the effect of this miasma on him was limited. He took a step into the miasma in the canyon. There was no icy chill, which made Ning Cheng guess that Ruoxi wasn't trapped in this canyon. He had seen Ruoxi use the child talisman to tear through space and disappear. So how could she be trapped here? At the same time, Ning Cheng also believed that Su Shiqian wouldn't lie to him. Even if Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was strong enough, he still couldn't clearly see what was in the depths of the canyon. Ning Cheng brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort and entered deeper into the canyon. When Ruoxi used the child talisman to tear open the void, he couldn't see it very clearly. He only saw Ruoxi disappear in the thin ripples of space. Along the way, there was miasma everywhere, and some of the corrosive miasma fell on the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, making a chi-chi sound. Ning Cheng found that the canyon was like a void, and the deeper he went, the wider the space became. Before, he could vaguely feel the edge of the canyon, but after reaching this place, he could no longer feel the edge of the canyon. An increasingly cold and icy aura permeated over, giving Ning Cheng a bad feeling in his heart. He stopped, feeling sure that Ruoxi hadn't reached this place. Moreover, with Su Yan and Su Shiqian's cultivation, they could only reach this point at most and couldn't go any deeper. The icy aura constantly swept past the periphery of Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort, and like the miasma, it fell on the thunder light of the everlasting blue thunder fort, causing a corrosive sound from time to time. Ning Cheng stayed in place for 2 hours, but he didn't see the ice block that sealed Ruoxi's shadow, nor did he see the ice block that sealed a corner of Ruoxi's dress. Feeling the weak laws of space around him, Ning Cheng wondered if he could tear open the void interface here with the 5-colored star splitter arrow. The 5-colored star splitter arrow was different from the opening heaven talisman's child talisman. Even if he shot open the void interface, the 5-colored star splitter arrow couldn't take him away like the child talisman. However, if he were to shoot open this void boundary, he would be able to see the void outside the boundary in an extremely short amount of time. Ning Cheng was still thinking about whether or not to bring out the star splitter arrow when a faint ray of light shot down from above. It was noon. Although the miasma in this place was heavy, at noon, the weak sunlight could still fall a little. After the sun set, the miasma seemed to have dispersed a little. The ice-cold space around Ning Cheng seemed to have suddenly solidified, and an even more terrifying chill assaulted them. Ning Cheng was surprised in his heart, and was just about to retreat, when a shadow swept past him from the corner of his eye. That shadow turned out to be a figure sealed in ice, vaguely resembling Ruoxi. Before Ning Cheng could go over, the sunlight shifted, and Ruoxi's shadow could no longer be seen. However, the surrounding space was getting colder and colder, as if the coldness was brought about by the sunlight. The light didn't bring warmth, but it brought an even more terrifying chill. Ning Cheng took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He was sure that what he saw just now was Ruoxi. Moreover, he was also sure that what he saw just now was not an actual icicle, but a projection. The sunlight shone down from the gap in the miasma, allowing the projection to fall into the miasma in the ice-cold space, which he saw. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness spread out completely and slowly swept out. He had to figure out where the shadow came from. As the sunlight had just dispersed, Ning Cheng easily felt the coldest place. His spiritual consciousness swept along the ice-cold location, and a chill that penetrated into his sea of consciousness made him subconsciously shiver. But such a chill not only didn't make Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness shrink back, but it also accelerated its sweep. After 2 breaths, Ning Cheng finally saw what was going on. In the place where his divine sense penetrated, he saw a small crack that was faintly discernible. The endless coldness seeped out from this crack. At this moment, Ning Cheng was almost sure that Ruoxi's frozen shadow was not in the miasma in the canyon, but in the crack. When a ray of light penetrated the miasma, it reflected the frozen shadow in the miasma canyon in a very short time, allowing him and Su Shiqian to see it. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on this tiny crack, and his scalp went numb. As a top-grade array formation master who arranged the Grand Essence defensive array, how could Ning Cheng not know how terrifying this crack was? This crack indicated that something had gone wrong in this corner of the Grand Essence realm. As time passed, this crack would grow bigger and bigger, and this area would eventually disappear into the void. If it was just this area disappearing into the void, it wouldn't be a big deal. But more importantly, once this area of the Grand Essence realm was torn apart by the void, other places in the Grand Essence realm would also slowly be swallowed up by the void over time. Countless years later, the Grand Essence realm might disappear without a trace, just like the planets hidden in the void. The 5 Grand Realms would no longer have a Grand Essence realm. No wonder Su Ji and said that this space was the weakest place in the entire Grand Essence realm. It wasn't just weak, but a real crack. If he allowed this crack to exist, the Grand Essence realm, which originally had incomplete laws, would eventually have problems. As the Tao Lord of the Grand Essence realm, how could he just watch the Grand Essence realm collapse from this place, and then spread to the entire interface? This time, Ning Cheng didn't hesitate and directly brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow. Although this crack in the interface was small, he had no other means to tear it bigger than the 5-colored star splitter arrow. Regardless of whether the interface had a crack or not, Tearing it apart wouldn't affect it. The crack in the interface was caused by the shattering of laws, and it had nothing to do with forcibly breaking the interface. If Ning Cheng wanted to enter and find Ruoxi, he would have to tear apart the interface here. As for repairing this crack in the interface, he could only discuss it with the others after returning to the Dao court. The five-colored star splitter arrow, like a giant whale sucking in water, crazily sucked away Ning Cheng's spirit essence and Dao charm power. As soon as it shot out, it once again sucked away all the surrounding imposing aura, and then turned into a tearing arrow in the shortest time possible. Boom! The five-colored star splitter arrow exploded outside the crack, and the crack slowly widened under the tearing force of the five-colored star splitter arrow. Ning Cheng didn't wait for the crack to return to its original appearance. Instead, his figure flashed and disappeared from the miasma canyon, entering the void crack. As soon as Ning Cheng entered the void crack, a horrifying chill hit him. The everlasting blue thunder fort, under this incomparably terrifying cold, gave out caw-caw sounds. In an instant, Ning Cheng saw a blurry figure sealed in ice behind him. It was the figure he had just rushed into the void, frozen by the extreme cold. Ning Cheng's heart sank. He felt sure that his current strength should be stronger than Ruoxi's. Even with his current strength, he couldn't resist the cold here. How could Ruoxi resist it after using the heaven-sundering talisman's child talisman? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, and soon saw a piece of a dress sealed in ice. Su Shiqian didn't see it wrong. The piece of dress sealed in ice was the dress Ruoxi had worn before. After calming his mind, Ning Cheng rolled up the piece of dress and moved it a few times. Then he saw another piece of dress sealed in ice. Not only were there pieces of dress, but there were also some figures sealed in ice. These frozen figures were somewhat blurry, some were slightly clear, and some were very clear. Without exception, Ruoxi's figure had been sealed by the extreme cold when she moved quickly. At this time, Ning Cheng was almost certain that Ruoxi's child talisman didn't play its role. In other words, the child talisman was blocked in this extremely cold space. Ruoxi could only move around frantically to find a way out. There weren't many pieces of dress sealed in ice. From this, Ning Cheng could tell that Ruoxi had brought out her 9-petal lotus throne to protect her body in time. Although this space was extremely cold, Ning Cheng had the protection of the everlasting blue thunder fort. As such, his clothes wouldn't freeze to the point where they would fall off. Moreover, he had personally crafted his clothes. As an artifact crafting master who could refine top-grade spirit artifacts, even if he didn't use the everlasting blue thunder fort in a hurry, his clothes wouldn't freeze to the point of cracking under the current cold. In this icy space, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate any further. He could only vaguely sense the direction in which the cold had weakened. According to his speculation, Ruoxi's child talisman didn't work. If she wanted to escape from this cold, she would have to move towards the direction in which the cold weakened. Ning Cheng rushed all the way, and after an hour, even with the protection of the everlasting blue thunder fort, he still couldn't bear it. Behind him were shadows that were sealed in ice. It could be seen how terrifying the cold here was. A 9-petal lotus throne shining with a faint Dao charm appeared in front of Ning Cheng. This lotus throne was completely sealed in ice. Ning Cheng's heart sank. He knew that this was Ruoxi's weapon. Moreover, this 9-petal lotus throne was a top-grade weapon. It wasn't any weaker than the mountain and river dipper he snatched from Feng Xian. In fact, it was even stronger. Ning Cheng's figure flashed and landed on the edge of the 9-petal lotus throne. The 9-petal lotus throne still contained Ruoxi's aura, but Ruoxi wasn't here. The 9-petal lotus throne was as important to Ruoxi as the mysterious yellow bead was to Ning Cheng. Now that the 9-petal lotus throne was here, but Ruoxi wasn't here, it meant that something must have happened to Ruoxi. Ning Cheng reached out and grabbed the 9-petal lotus throne, and the aura of Dao charm rushed towards him. These were the Dao charm laws left behind by Ruoxi. Ning Cheng and Ruoxi had been together for a long time, so he could feel it immediately. Feeling the remnants of this Dao charm aura, Ning Cheng felt slightly relieved in his heart. Since the 9-petal lotus throne still worked, it meant that Ruoxi didn't freeze to death. The only possibility was that Ruoxi knew that she couldn't hold on in this place. So, she simply used the 9-petal lotus throne to protect a space, and then escaped from this protected space. Unfortunately, she couldn't take away the 9-petal lotus throne. Chapter 1178. Ningqing raised his hand and tore open the 9-petal lotus throne's protective shield, which was on the verge of shattering, before a jade strip fell down. Not waiting for the icy cold to reduce the jade strip into nothingness, Ningqing raised his hand and swept away the jade strip. At the same time, he also put away the 9-petal lotus platform that had lost the support of its Dao charm. As his spiritual consciousness seeped into the jade strip, Ningqing heard Ruoxi's voice. My name is Ji Ruoxi and my other name is Jishi. I come from the sacred Dao world's goddess sacred sect. The 9-petal lotus throne is my most cherished possession, and it has my soul imprint on it. If Dao friend is willing to return it to me, the immortal goddess sacred sect is willing to give you any resources you want. At the same time, I owe you my life. The sacred Dao realm is very far away. Dao friend can return the 9-petal lotus throne to Pill Sage Ningqing in the Grand Essence realm. Ningqing is a primordial Dao pill sage, so he will definitely send some Dao pills that fellow Daoist needs first. Ningqing touched his nose. When he and Ruoxi met, he was still far from being a Dao essence pill saint. Ruoxi's words didn't mean that she believed that he could definitely advance to the Dao essence pill saint realm, but rather to increase the temptation. Since Ruoxi had branded the 9-petal lotus throne with a soul brand, ordinary people wouldn't be able to refine it even if they obtained it. Forcefully refining it would only result in a backlash or the destruction of the 9-petal lotus platform. It was very difficult to destroy a treasure like the 9-petal lotus throne, and the possibility of a backlash was even higher. Only a holy emperor, who was much more powerful than Ruoxi, could refine the soul brand and turn the 9-petal lotus throne into their own. One could say that Ruoxi knew that the 9-petal lotus throne would be difficult for others to use, which was why she left behind this jade strip. Back then, Feng Xian's mountain and river dipper had only left behind a trace of spiritual force imprint, and he had been unable to refine it in a short period of time. In the end, he had to ask a Dao integration powerhouse to help him remove it. His spiritual consciousness was stronger than that of ordinary primordial chaos sacred emperors. What Ruoxi left behind wasn't a spiritual sense imprint, but a soul brand that was even more difficult to remove than a spiritual sense imprint. Ningqing guessed that Ruoxi still had the thought of retrieving the 9-petal lotus throne. Ningqing gave out a sigh. Since Ruoxi was fine, he felt relieved. Not to mention anything else, in the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond, if not for Ruoxi, he and Yinji would have already died. What's more, for Ruoxi to fall to this point, he couldn't say that he had nothing to do with it. After all, he was the one who lent the child talisman to Ruoxi. If he wasn't wrong, there should be a problem with the repaired heaven opening talisman. Initially, Tian Mu Wan and the blue-robed girl had also used the repaired opening heaven talisman's child talisman. However, the result was that they could not return to the place they wanted to go and ended up stranded in the Fallen Wood Temple. This time, Ruoxi ended up trapped in the extremely cold space outside the Grand Essence realm. If someone said that there was no problem with the child talisman, Ningqing wouldn't believe it. Ningqing shook his head, took out the 9-petal lotus seat, wrapped it in layers of restrictions, and sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. He decided that when he went to the divine Dao world in the future, he would go to the immortal goddess sacred sect and return Ruoxi's 9-petal lotus seat to her. Ningqing didn't care how Ruoxi left. What he cared about now was why this space felt so cold. The Grand Essence realm's laws were already broken to begin with, and this freezing cold would only make the cracks grow bigger and bigger. As long as he didn't repair the Grand Essence realm, this place would continue to collapse. Since he had come here, he naturally wanted to see what was going on in this icy space. Ningqing raised his hand and brought out the celestial river flame, attaching it to his wrist. Once the freezing cold grew too terrifying, and the everlasting blue thunder fort couldn't block it, the celestial river flame could continue to resist. Fortunately, it was Ruoxi. If not for Ruoxi, he wouldn't have known that the Grand Essence realm, a place with such weak laws, had such a big hidden danger. When Ning Cheng thought of Ruoxi again, his footsteps suddenly stopped. Ruoxi was Ji Ruoxi, and she said that she was still called Jishi. When he went to the Eternal Night Domain, didn't Gongniezhua, the owner of the Purple Een Spirit Spring, say that Jishi had taken away the Purple Een Spirit Spring bead? Thinking of this, Ning Cheng completely understood. It turned out that Jishi, the one he was looking for, had always been with him. At the same time, he also knew why she went to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. It was because her Purple Een Spirit Spring bead was taken away by the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond, that she wanted to get it back. Understanding this, Ning Cheng suddenly looked forward to Ruoxi not snatching back the Purple Een Spirit Spring bead. Although the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond was abominable, Ning Cheng knew that the Purple Een Spirit Spring bead was meant for Qianghua. Ning Cheng guessed that Ruoxi shouldn't have snatched back the Purple Een Spirit Spring bead. If she had snatched it away, Qianghua wouldn't have recovered, let alone gone to the Grand Change Realm. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief, and his entire body felt a little more spirited. In any case, the Purple Een Spirit Spring bead was Ruoxi's. He would have to thank Ruoxi when he saw her in the future. Turning around again, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness didn't dare to stretch out too far. He just moved forward in the direction of the cold. Half a day later, the everlasting blue thunder fort protecting Ning Cheng's body had frozen into an ice city. The lightning arcs within the blue thunder fort could only flicker under the ice. As Ning Cheng went deeper and deeper, the ice grew thicker and thicker. As the cold seeped in, even with Ning Cheng's Tao essence cultivation, he gradually couldn't resist this extreme chill. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh, before using the Celestial River Armor to protect his entire body. The Celestial River Armor had already evolved into a sacred flame, so after Ning Cheng brought it out, the cold instantly blocked it. The ice outside the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort also began to melt. With the cold blocked, Ning Cheng sped up. A day later, the ice outside the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, melted by the Celestial River Flame, once again froze the Blue Thunder Fort. Not only that, but the cold once again penetrated the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. A thin layer of ice crystals gradually formed on the outside of the Celestial River Flame. The cold finally penetrated through the Celestial River Flame, tore through Ning Cheng's clothes, and stabbed into his body. Ning Cheng shuddered. He felt sure that if he dared to continue, he would freeze to death in this place. Even a Tao essence cultivation couldn't play a role in this place. Master, this kind of passive defense isn't my strength. Should I blast it out and turn all the cold in this place into a mist? The Celestial River Flame also felt sullen. Resisting the cold wasn't its strength in the first place. If it went on like this, it might as well turn into a sea of fire and burn down this place completely. Ning Cheng stopped and sent out a thought to the Celestial River Flame. This place is not an ordinary cold. Even if you erupt, you certainly can't destroy the cold in this place. The cold in this place has a strong Tao Charm Law aura. You can even say that the cold in this place is more like a Tao Charm spirit technique. Then what should we do? Although the Celestial River Flame had a fire spirit consciousness, it wasn't used to coming up with ideas. Don't worry, I'll try to cultivate it. Ning Cheng knew that if he wanted to move forward, he had to find a way to deal with this cold. Otherwise, he would have to retreat and leave this place first. The reason why he wanted to give it a try was that he had some experience with thunder tribulations. During the thunder tribulations, he could absorb thunder source attributes because he had a thunder spiritual root. At the same time, he also had an ice-attributed spiritual root. At this moment, he wanted to try to absorb the ice source in this place through the mysterious yellow formless. As the mysterious yellow formless started to operate, Ning Cheng quickly discovered that he couldn't absorb the ice source in this place at all. Even if he couldn't move forward, because he stayed in this place for too long, the extreme cold penetrated through the Celestial River Flame and directly tore through Ning Cheng's skin. Ning Cheng sucked in a breath of cold air. Just how powerful was this cold? He was a Tao Essence Holy Emperor and a body-forging expert with a full-circle starry sky body. Even with the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort and the Celestial River Flame, he couldn't block this extreme cold. This cold was just too terrifying. As the cold continued to tear through Ningcheng's skin and penetrate into Ningcheng's bones, Ningcheng kept retreating while operating the mysterious yellow body forging cultivation method. Kaka. Sounds of bones breaking emerged, and the blood oozing out of the cracked skin quickly turned into blood ice. Ningcheng didn't feel surprised but happy instead. He didn't continue to retreat but operated the body forging cultivation method even more crazily. Previously, after his body forging reached the full circle starry sky body, he couldn't make any further progress. No matter where he went for body forging, the result was the same. But now, he found that the cold here could help his corporeal body reach the full circle of the starry sky body. The everlasting blue thunder fort blocked the first layer of cold, while the celestial river flame blocked the second layer of cold. Ningcheng felt a barrier in his body forging. That is, the sharpness of his body forging had been blocked. The coldness of his body forging technique didn't have any sharpness. After understanding this, Ningcheng gritted his teeth and put away the everlasting blue thunder fort along with the celestial river flame. Kaka kaka kaka. After Ningcheng put away the two defenses, the horrifying cold tore through Ningcheng's skin like a sharp axe. It then cut through Ningcheng's bones and ice. A cold chill directly froze Ningcheng. Ningcheng did not even have the opportunity to fall to the ground. In just a breath's time, Ningcheng turned into an ice sculpture, surrounded by endless ice law Dao charm. If someone was here, they wouldn't be able to feel Ningcheng's aura. At this moment, Ningcheng looked like he had died, without any signs of life. If not for the cold freezing his body, he might have already fallen to the ground. Ningcheng's six senses were completely shut down. At this moment, only the mysterious yellow body forging cultivation method ran wildly within his body, constantly quenching his bones, meridians, and corporeal body. As time passed by slowly, Ningcheng's ice-sealed body finally turned into a human-shaped outline. His flesh and blood froze into ice before slowly disappearing under the effects of the body forging cultivation method. His bones froze and cracked, but they also slowly disappeared under the effects of the body forging cultivation method. After an unknown amount of time, the blood that had frozen into nothingness in Ningcheng's body began to regenerate, and his meridians also began to regenerate. The shattered bones also began to reform, and his bones turned even more crystal clear. Looking from the outside, the outline of the frozen humanoid figure remained the same, but under this frozen state, Ningcheng's entire body was undergoing a thorough transformation. Flesh and blood regenerated, meridians, bones regenerated. Ningcheng unconsciously felt his corporeal body's strength rise to another level. The ice origin essence qi, which he couldn't absorb before, also turned into ice-type Dao charm laws under the effects of the mysterious yellow formless and entered Ningcheng's body. Chapter 1179. Even if he was slow, Ningcheng knew that this was an opportunity. Because of the reconstruction of his meridians, his potential rose once again. If he didn't seize this time to cultivate, when would he? Ningcheng threw out top-grade God Spirit veins one after another. As soon as the top-grade God Spirit veins came out, they immediately froze and disintegrated. But the endless spirit qi couldn't disappear, and Ningcheng continued to crazily absorb it. As Ningcheng's corporeal body improved further, his cultivation also soared. Ice-attributed and space-attributed Dao charm auras surrounded Ningcheng. At Ningcheng's level of cultivation, absorbing spirit qi to increase his strength was one thing, but more importantly his understanding of the Dao charm laws. Middle stage Dao essence, late stage Dao essence. At the peak of Dao essence, a new Dao charm finally condensed. At this moment, Ningcheng had an epiphany about his new spirit technique, ice-sealed space. As Ningcheng's Dao charm aura surged out, an ice-sealed space started to form around him. Although these ice-sealed spaces quickly cracked under the extreme cold, it didn't affect Ningcheng's deeper understanding of the ice-sealed space. Ningcheng absorbed the endless ice-cold Dao charm, which then formed one ice pattern after another. The originally ice-cold space became even colder because of Ningcheng's absorption of the ice-cold Dao charm. As time passed, in this extremely cold void space, apart from Ningcheng constantly comprehending the Dao charm and simulating the spirit technique, Only the ice-attributed Dao charm aura continued to grow colder and colder. Ning Cheng's human-shaped ice sculpture also grew larger and larger. Finally, the human figure gradually disappeared and turned into a huge iceberg. Because of the accumulation of ice-cold Dao charm, the iceberg also grew larger and larger. Grand Essence Demon Vein. Countless Dao Court's army and the Demon Vein's demonic beasts clashed. All kinds of spells, Dao charm spirit techniques, and essence chi collided with each other, creating a bloody mist. Unlike in the past, this time, the human Dao Court's army took the initiative to attack. In the past, it was always the demonic beasts who launched the beast tide attack. Not to mention Sha Su's 10th Dao Court's army and countless array formation masters. Even without the array formation, the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts couldn't resist the Dao Court's army. Compared to the formally trained Dao Court's army, the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts were a bunch of mobs. Countless demonic beasts were dying at every moment, and the Dao Court's army's morale was getting stronger and stronger. Facing such a terrifying and overwhelming attack, the demonic beasts from the Grand Essence Demon Vein finally couldn't bear it. As the Dao Court's army pressed forward again, the demonic beasts of the Grand Essence Demon Vein finally collapsed. Countless beasts fled. No matter how a Saint King like Qiu Yuxing tried to suppress them, he was unable to stop this rout. The army of the Dao Court that had been pursuing them had an imposing aura, and some of the older cultivators could hardly suppress the excitement in their hearts. In the past, when the demonic beasts launched the beast tide, the Grand Essence Realm's cultivators could only rely on the city's defensive arrays to resist the beast tide. Only when the demonic beasts obtained enough benefits would they retreat to the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Since when did human cultivators dare to act like this, to chase demonic beasts in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein? This was something that he didn't even dare to dream of. Every cultivator who had fought against the beast tide sincerely thanked the Grand Essence Dao Court. Without the Grand Essence Dao Court, they wouldn't have been able to suppress the demonic beasts in the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Even if they resisted the demonic beasts in the Holy City, they still had to negotiate with the demonic beasts. Just when everyone's eyes turned red and wanted to kill more demonic beasts, the Dao Court's army issued an order to retreat. No one could understand such a military order. It stood to reason that they should have cleaned up the entire Grand Essence Demon Vein in one fell swoop. Although no one understood it, no one dared to disobey the Dao Court's military order. The Dao Court's army, which was chasing the demonic beasts, stopped and began to retreat slowly. The Grand Essence Dao Court's encampment was now in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. In the Grand Essence Dao Court's encampment, Zhu Fanghen asked in confusion, "Court Pillarly, at this time, as long as we take the army deep, we can quickly destroy all the forces of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Why did we stop?" Ning Cheng wasn't in the Grand Essence Dao Court. The Grand Essence Dao Court didn't have any guards. Only Li Feng had the highest status. Li Feng didn't answer Zhu Fanghen's question directly. His gaze swept across the rest of the guards, and saw that most of them had the same doubts. "Court pillars, Dao friends of the Grand Essence Dao Court. In fact, I also want to destroy the entire Grand Essence Demon Vein in one fell swoop, but I can't do that." Li Feng's voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. Some people understood what Li Feng meant, but some didn't. Li Feng sighed. "The most terrifying thing about the Grand Essence Demon Vein is the Grand Essence Demon Vein's Demon City. The Grand Essence Demon City's defensive array formations aren't any worse than the Heaven Essence Sacred Cities. Moreover, the Grand Essence Demon Vein has existed for so many years. Do you think it's just a fluke? If we really dare to suppress the Grand Essence Demon City, even if we win, we would suffer heavy losses." Everyone quieted down. No one thought that Li Feng was talking nonsense. Almost everyone knew about the Grand Essence Demon City in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Many top-grade treasures that couldn't be found in the Heaven Essence Sacred City could be purchased in the Grand Essence Demon City. Seeing that everyone understood what he meant, Li Feng nodded and continued. "Dao Lord's intention isn't to destroy the Grand Essence Demon Vein and kill every demonic beast. Instead, he wants us to kill all the demonic beasts that dare to slaughter human cities, and leave most of the ordinary demonic beasts alive. In the future, the Grand Essence Demon Vein will become a trial ground for the disciples of the Grand Essence realm. Let's not talk about whether we can kill all the demonic beasts. Even if we kill all of them, it would cause a loss of balance. It's not necessarily a good thing for my Grand Essence Dao Court. What's more? Li Feng paused for a moment before continuing. What's more, Dao Lord mobilized us, but he hasn't shown up yet. We still have to wait here for Dao Lord's Dao Lord token. Everyone nodded. This time, when Ning Cheng's Dao Lord token arrived at the Heaven Essence Sacred City's Dao Court, the Grand Essence Dao Court responded immediately. Coupled with the Grand Essence Dao Court's current wealth, they dispatched the Grand Essence Dao Court's army in the shortest time possible. Everything went in an orderly manner, without any hesitation or impropriety. Only a few primordial essence holy emperors who knew about Li Feng's thoughts understood what Li Feng just said. One of the reasons was that Dao Lord Ning Cheng didn't return. But another important reason was that the Grand Essence Demon Vein had an existence that no one dared to provoke. Even if the Grand Essence Dao Court's army defeated the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demon cultivators and demonic beasts, it wouldn't be easy to eradicate the Grand Essence Demon Vein. If it weren't for the Grand Essence Dao Court's current cohesiveness, and the existence of a Dao unification holy emperor like Chu Manhe, Li Feng would have stopped the Dao Court's army from dispatching. But Li Feng also knew that the Grand Essence Demon Vein's problem would be solved sooner or later. If it wasn't solved, it would become a big problem in the future. Even if the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts couldn't withstand a single blow, it was because they hadn't organized to form a real demonic beast army. Once they were organized, their combat power would definitely not be weaker than the Grand Essence Dao Court's army. If one day, the Grand Essence Dao Court's army was still confronting the Grand Change Dao Court's army, and the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts suddenly rioted, it would be a bad thing. So even though Ning Cheng didn't know that the Grand Essence Demon Vein had a powerful existence, Li Feng still agreed with Ning Cheng's decision to dispatch the Dao Court's army to deal with the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts. In the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, Qiu Yuxing's face turned pale. He knew that after the Grand Essence Dao Court was established, the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts wouldn't be the Dao Court's army's opponents. But he didn't expect the difference to be so big. They couldn't even withstand a single blow. In the past few years, instead of confronting the Grand Essence Dao Court's army, it would be better to say that the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beasts kept retreating. Sacred Emperor, in a month at most, the Grand Essence Dao Court's army will attack my Grand Essence Demon City. A sharp-headed rat demon with beady eyes stood up and spoke carefully. Qiu Yuxing waved his hand and snorted. He naturally knew what this subordinate meant. That was he wanted him to invite Dao Lord Proud Dance. Everyone knew that Qiu Yuxing was Dao Lord Proud Dance's son-in-law. They also knew that Dao Lord Proud Dance looked down on him. To be honest, Qiu Yuxing really didn't want to ask Dao Lord Proud Dance. No one dared to speak, and the Sacred Emperor Hall fell into silence. After a while, Qiu Yuxing sighed. I'll go see the Sacred Emperor Empress. When the demons in the hall heard this sentence, they all secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Dao Lord Proud Dance looked down on Sacred Emperor Qiu Yuxing. In addition to thinking that Qiu Yuxing didn't have any ability, Qiu Yuxing also treated his Dao companion, the Sacred Emperor Empress Dowager, her daughter Xian Feifei. The name Xian Feifei sounded delicate and gentle. In fact, Xian Feifei, the Sacred Emperor Empress Dowager, was just like her name, delicate and gentle. The only thing that didn't match her name was that she looked too ugly. Her nostrils turned up, her eyes were thin, and her hair was yellow. If it weren't for her waist, no one would have thought of her as a woman. Qiu Yuxing hadn't even walked to the backyard when he heard the soft sound of a zither. This zither sound carried a hint of melancholy and loneliness. It seemed to be describing loneliness and helplessness. Qiu Yuxing stood outside the courtyard for a long time before he sighed, and stepped into the courtyard. Feifei. Qiu Yuxing looked at the back of the woman sitting under the tree playing the zither, and called out with difficulty. Ding. The sound of the zither suddenly became chaotic. Then, the zither fell to the ground with a clatter. The woman suddenly stood up and turned around in disbelief to look at Qiu Yuxing, who was standing at the entrance of the courtyard. She couldn't remember the last time Qiu Yuxing had appeared in her courtyard. Was it 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago? Fei Fei greets the sacred emperor. The woman's eyes flashed with surprise and she hurriedly bowed. When Qiu Yuxing saw the woman's ugly face, the guilt he had felt earlier disappeared and a trace of disgust flashed in his eyes. However, he quickly remembered his purpose for coming here. He hid that trace of disgust and hurriedly went forward to support the woman. Fei Fei, I've been busy cultivating. It's been hard on you. Chapter 1180. No. Xian Fei Fei quickly said. Qiu Yuxing sighed and bent down to pick up Xian Fei Fei's zither on the ground. Xian Fei Fei saw Qiu Yuxing's frown and quickly asked, "Is there anything the Holy Emperor is worried about?" Qiu Yuxing hesitated for a while before saying, I'm afraid we won't be together for too long. The Grand Essence Dao Court army has entered the Grand Essence Demon Vein. I estimate that in 2 months, the Grand Essence Dao Court army will be able to suppress our entire demon city. The Grand Essence Dao Court army? Xian Fei Fei asked in surprise. She had been living in seclusion and didn't know about the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Qiu Yuxing nodded. Yes, Grand Essence not only established the Dao Court army but also a cruel and murderous Dao monarch. This Dao monarch takes pleasure in killing my demon vein's demon race. Over the past few years, the Grand Essence Dao Court army has killed many of my demon vein's demon beasts. How many years has the Grand Essence Dao Court army invaded the demon vein? Xian Fei Fei was even more shocked. Qiu Yuxing said with more sorrow. Yes, I didn't tell you about it in order not to worry you. Why? Xian Fei Fei was even more puzzled. In her impression, it was always the demon beasts of the Grand Essence Demon Vein who attacked human cities. When did human cultivators attack the Grand Essence Demon Vein? Qiu Yuxing sighed again. I can only blame myself for raising a useless son. Bei Feng usually behaved well, but his biggest problem was that he cared too much about women. He took a fancy to a woman in Broken Thatch Divine City. You also know that most human female cultivators are greedy for the resources of my demon vein. Plus, I doted on Bei Feng and gave him a lot of treasures. He used those treasures to win the woman's heart. Unexpectedly, the Dao monarch of the Grand Essence Dao Court also happened to pass by Broken Thatch Divine City, and took a fancy to the woman. At this point, Qiu Yuxing shook his head. You should have guessed it later. Bei Feng wasn't the Dao monarch's opponent, and was killed by the Dao monarch. After that Dao monarch killed Bei Feng and snatched the woman, he still wasn't reconciled, and even mobilized the Grand Essence Dao Court army to destroy my Grand Essence Demon Vein. Bei Feng died, but the countless demon beasts of my Grand Essence Demon Vein are innocent, sigh. They're going too far. Xian Fei Fei yelled angrily. Qiu Yuxing said helplessly, I know. But who told them to be stronger than my Grand Essence Demon Vein? Sage Emperor, there's no need to worry. Once I tidy up, we'll go see my mother. I believe that my mother will definitely care about this matter, Xian Fei Fei said firmly. Qiu Yuxing said hesitantly, but my mother-in-law. Xian Fei Fei's tone softened once more. I will explain everything clearly. Don't worry, Saint Emperor. What's more, if the human cultivator Dao Court's army invades my Grand Essence Demon Vein, my mother will never sit back and watch. Qiu Yuxing was silent for a while before he nodded. All right, I'll wait for you outside. Thank you for your hard work, Fei Fei. Xian Fei Fei smiled faintly. Between the Heavenly Emperor and I, there's no need to talk about hard work. You're treating me as an outsider. After watching Qiu Yuxing walk out of the courtyard, Xian Fei Fei turned around. A young girl in a red dress came before Xian Fei Fei and muttered, Humph, not a single word of truth. Xian Fei Fei sighed. Yu Hong, even if the Heavenly Emperor doesn't speak the truth, he's still the Heavenly Emperor. How could Xian Fei Fei not know that Qiu Yuxing didn't speak the truth? What kind of person was Qiu Beifeng? She also knew about it. A person like Qiu Beifeng would only slaughter a city if he fancied a woman. He wouldn't take out resources to please that female cultivator. It's just that she knew that whether it was for Qiu Yuxing or not, The Grand Essence Demon Vein must not be destroyed. The Demon City must not be captured by the Grand Essence Dao Court's army. Otherwise, the Grand Essence Demon Clan would be doomed. Many people regarded the Grand Essence Demon Vein and the Grand Essence Demon Domain as the same. In fact, the Grand Essence Demon Domain included two places. One was the Grand Essence Demon Vein, and the other was the Immortal Ring Island. In the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, there was a vast lake with a huge island in the center of the lake. This island was called the Immortal Ring Island. The island master of the Immortal Ring Island was the only Dao Perfection Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Demon Domain, Dao Lord Ao Wu. Qiu Yusheng, the Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Demon Domain, could manage all the demonic beasts and demonic cultivators in the Grand Essence Demon Domain, but he couldn't manage the Immortal Ring Island. Not only could he not manage the Immortal Ring Island, but every time he came to the Immortal Ring Island, he had to act like a grandson. Because of this, Qiu Yusheng didn't want to come to the Immortal Ring Island. Since you're here, come on in. Don't be like a cowardly tortoise. Qiu Yusheng stood on the periphery of the Immortal Ring Island and hesitated when a cold voice suddenly appeared in his ears. Qiu Yusheng quickly bowed and said, "Yes." He didn't dare to call her mother-in-law or mother queen. Otherwise he would be thrown out immediately. After speaking, he didn't dare to enter first. Instead, he said to Xian Feifei next to him, "Feifei, you go first. I'll follow behind you." Xian Feifei smiled slightly and didn't refuse. She stepped into the Immortal Ring Island's defensive array first. The Grand Essence Demon Vein was originally more beautiful than most places in the Grand Essence realm. But after arriving at the Immortal Ring Island, one would see that compared to the Immortal Ring Island, the most beautiful place in the Grand Essence Demon Vein was just SOSO. If one had to explain what an immortal domain was, then one would have to come to the Immortal Ring Island to take a look. All kinds of strange divine grasses, flowers, and butterflies filled the air. The entire place exuded a fresh aura that refreshed people's spirits. Qiu Yusheng and the others passed through a sea of flowers, a bamboo forest, and a divine grass garden before arriving in front of a hall that looked like it was shrouded in clouds. After Qiu Yusheng bowed in front of the hall, he dared to follow Xian Feifei into the hall. An extremely beautiful woman sat in the middle of the hall, with dozens of maids standing on both sides. If Ning Cheng was here, he would have noticed that this extremely beautiful woman looked a bit like Ning Ruoqing. Qiu Yusheng didn't dare to look at her and quickly bowed. Yusheng greets Island Master, Dao Monarch Ao Wu. He sighed in his heart. His mother was so beautiful, but the daughter she gave birth to was so ugly. As long as Xian Feifei had 1% of this woman's beauty, he wouldn't have to neglect Xian Feifei and make Dao Monarch Ao Wu unhappy. Feifei greets mother. Xian Feifei also quickly bowed. Dao Monarch Ao Wu nodded to Xian Feifei and said, "Feifei, you've worked hard all these years. Come and sit next to your mother." Xian Feifei walked to the beautiful woman's side and sat down quietly. "Speak, what's the matter?" After Xian Feifei sat down, Dao Monarch Ao Wu asked Qiu Yusheng in a cold voice. Qiu Yusheng quickly replied, "Feifei, if you have something to say, just say it. If you beat around the bush again, then get the hell out." Hearing Qiu Yusheng still beating around the bush, Dao Monarch Ao Wu sneered in disgust. Qiu Yusheng gritted his teeth. "Dao Monarch, please understand. The Grand Essence Dao Court's army has massacred countless demonic beasts and demonic cultivators from my demon lineage. If we don't resist, I'm afraid that my Grand Essence demon lineage's demon city will turn to dust." Dao Monarch Ao Wu didn't show any surprise. Apparently, she already knew what Qiu Yusheng said. Seeing that Dao Monarch Ao Wu didn't speak, Qiu Yusheng didn't dare to say anything. After half an incense stick worth of time, Dao Monarch Ao Wu said calmly, "In that case, let's gather the demonic beasts of the Grand Essence demon lineage and establish the Grand Essence demon lineage's Dao Court. I will personally lead the Dao Court's army and slaughter all the human cities south of the Grand Essence domain. In the future, there will be no more human cultivators in this place, only my demon race." Qiu Yusheng felt overjoyed when he heard those words. He quickly bowed and said, "Dao Monarch." Qiu Yusheng is willing to wave the flag and cheer for Dao Monarch. Dao Monarch Ao Wu never liked to manage things. Even if she established the Dao court, Qiu Yuxing was still the one in charge. Qiu Yuxing knew this better than anyone else. What a powerful ice pattern Dao charm. If we didn't have ice-based spiritual roots, this place wouldn't have been able to hold on. Even so, we won't be able to go much further. A man whose entire body was frozen in ice said with difficulty. There was a woman beside this man. This woman wore a white dress. Unlike the man, this woman seemed to have assimilated with the ice patterns. She even turned into one of the ice patterns. She looked much calmer than the disheveled man. Senior apprentice brother Yun Jian, if it weren't so cold here, that thing wouldn't have waited for us to take it. The woman said calmly. The man nodded. Yes, junior apprentice sister Yuan Bing is right. We have ice-based spiritual roots, and are all at the late-stage primordial chaos realm. There aren't many people who meet these conditions. The woman was about to speak when she suddenly exclaimed, How can there be such a big iceberg here? It doesn't make sense. The man saw the ice mountain at the same time, and was equally shocked. After observing the ice mountain for a while he said, Junior sister Yuan Bing, did you notice that the ice elemental Dao runes on the surface of the ice mountain are even more intense? These ice patterns are condensed from ice elemental nomological Dao runes. Could it be that the thing is here? The woman shook her head. That's impossible. That thing is at least 10,000 miles away from here. We can't get close so quickly. However, this iceberg is a bit weird. My spiritual consciousness can't sweep in, and the ice-based Dao charm keeps condensing on it. Wait, let me break this iceberg first. The man raised his hand and brought out a giant hammer Dharma treasure. Don't be anxious. The woman placed her hand on the huge iceberg. Then, her expression changed drastically and she hurriedly let go of her hand. What's wrong, junior apprentice sister Yuan Bing? Asked the man hurriedly. The woman said with a worried look, the ice-based Dao charm contained in this iceberg is crisscrossing and even fusing with the spatial nomological Dao charm. The deeper we go, the stronger the nomological aura. In addition, there's also a strong enlightened aura that's a little strange. If someone doesn't die here, and can even gain insight into the nomological Dao charm, that would be too terrifying. The man's expression also became cautious. Junior apprentice sister Yuan Bing, be careful. No matter what it is, wait until I break this iceberg first. After saying that, the giant hammer rose and swept up terrifying Dao charm powers before striking the iceberg. Chapter 1181. Boom! The giant hammer weapon slammed into the ice pattern Dao runes outside the iceberg, causing the Dao runes to explode. The entire iceberg trembled, but no cracks appeared. What a powerful nomological force! The man exclaimed and raised the giant hammer again. Ning Cheng, who was still in an epiphany, was awakened by the loud roar. His spiritual consciousness immediately scanned a man and a woman outside the iceberg. Ning Cheng was furious. If no one had disturbed him, he would have most likely reached the primordial chaos realm. However, he was interrupted like this, and he was stuck at the half-step primordial chaos realm. This interruption made him feel extremely unhappy. With a wave of his hand, he changed into a set of clean clothes. The power of Dao runes circulated around his body, and the iceberg Dao runes wrapped around him instantly exploded. Boom boom boom. The huge roar was many times louder than the sound of the man hitting the iceberg with the ice hammer. The man's giant hammer weapon was still in the air when he saw the iceberg in front of him suddenly explode. A young man stood in the middle of the exploding iceberg and stared at him with an angry look on his face. The man instantly froze. His spiritual consciousness couldn't sweep into the iceberg covered in ice pattern Dao runes. He didn't know that there was someone inside the iceberg. Someone was cultivating inside the iceberg. How terrifying was this person's cultivation? Senior. The man subconsciously called out. How could someone who could cultivate under the iceberg covered in ice attribute Dao runes be a weakling? The woman also looked at Ning Cheng in panic. However, she was in a better state than the man. She quickly saw that Ning Cheng's cultivation was lower than both of them. He hadn't even reached the primordial chaos realm. She immediately felt relieved. She also swallowed the senior that was on the tip of her tongue. Do you like to disturb other people's cultivation? Ningqing said in a cold tone. According to the rules, this man had broken the place where he cultivated in seclusion. Even if he killed the other party, it was still within reason. The man finally saw Ningqing's cultivation. He definitely hadn't reached primordial chaos. Although he also had the aura of primordial chaos, he should be on the verge of comprehending primordial chaos. He guessed that he had interrupted the other party's comprehension of primordial chaos realm, which led to this situation. He breathed a sigh of relief and ignored Ningqing's words. Instead, he looked at the woman. He did not understand why Ningqing's cultivation was lower than them, so how could he cultivate in such a place? In this place where strength reigned supreme, as long as one's cultivation was higher than the other party's, not to mention destroying the other party's abode, even killing the other party was nothing. The woman smiled slightly, looked at the male cultivator and said, "Senior apprentice brother Yunjian, this is actually very normal. If you were really in the ice mountain, most of the cold would be blocked by the ice mountain, and it would not be as cold as outside. The other is body tempering. If you temper your body here, your resistance here will be stronger than a primordial chaos sacred emperor's, even if your cultivation level is not at primordial chaos." The man nodded, obviously understanding this principle. He looked at Ningqing and smiled. "This Dao friend, I didn't expect you to cultivate in this place." Originally, if the other party had apologized, Ningqing would have let it go. After all, no one would have thought of cultivating in seclusion in this place. He didn't expect that when this man knew that his cultivation was inferior to his, he would use such a matter-of-fact tone to deal with him. He didn't even have the intention to apologize. "Senior apprentice brother Yunjian, let's go first." The woman winked at the man and said. The man instantly understood that they had come here for something. Originally, it didn't matter if it was just the two of them. But now that Ningqing appeared, if they didn't take the lead, Ningqing might snatch that thing away. As soon as the two of them left, Ningqing immediately understood the reason behind it. Maybe these two people, like him, wanted to find the cause of this extremely cold space. As Ningqing thought of this, he no longer wanted to apologize to the two of them. Instead, his figure turned into a light and rushed forward. With his current cultivation and physical strength, his resistance to the cold here was definitely greater than that of this man and woman. As long as his resistance to the cold exceeded the two, his speed would also surpass them. In just a few moments, the man and woman in front of Ningqing disappeared from the range of his spiritual consciousness. Ningqing sneered in his heart. These two people had definitely hidden themselves. Most likely, they felt that their speed wasn't as fast as him, so they decided to hide and attack him. Ningqing didn't even think of using his spiritual consciousness to investigate. Instead, he sped up and crossed dozens of miles in a flash. Two sharp killing intents, one from the front and one from the back, also blasted towards Ningqing. If Ningqing had been at the middle stage primordial Dao realm, and faced a pincer attack from two late-stage primordial chaos experts, even if he didn't escape, he would have to stay vigilant. However, Ningqing was a half-step primordial chaos expert, and knew that two primordial chaos sacred emperors were attacking him. Therefore, he didn't fear them at all. He brought out the void cold light spear. While the traceless spear pattern blasted towards the man, his dark consciousness swept towards the woman. He also brought out the everlasting blue thunder city to protect his body. The traceless spear pattern directly crossed the void, tore through the man's domain protection, and blasted into the man's chest. With a kacha sound, the armor on the man's chest shattered inch by inch. The man spurted out a mouthful of blood in the void and flew backward. Ningqing frowned slightly. He knew that he had underestimated the other party. The other party had flown backward on purpose. He must have taken the opportunity to escape. Sure enough, while the man was still flying backward, he took out a talisman. The talisman flashed, and he disappeared without a trace. After seeing Ningqing's terrifying strength, this guy didn't even care about his companions and fled directly. He had expected Ningqing to fight back, but he hadn't expected Ningqing's counterattack to be so terrifying. That traceless spear pattern carried the power of spatial nomological power. His domain couldn't resist it at all. Even a peak primordial chaos expert couldn't help with such strength. let alone a half-step primordial chaos expert. He was sure that Ning Cheng had concealed his cultivation level. He couldn't see through Ning Cheng's concealment. If he didn't take the opportunity to escape, when would he? Puff. Boom. While Ning Cheng's dark consciousness blasted the woman's sneak attack also blasted Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City. However, the everlasting Blue Thunder City's defense was too strong, so Ning Cheng wasn't affected at all. The woman's clothes were blown away by Ning Cheng's dark consciousness explosion. A bloody mist splashed out of her body. She didn't have the allure of a naked female cultivator at all. An arrow of blood spurted out of her mouth. At this moment, the woman realized that she had suffered serious injuries. "Spare me!" The woman screamed in panic and quickly retreated. At the same time, she brought out a pitch-black bead. The violent aura of destruction instantly surrounded Ning Cheng, and Ning Cheng felt the threat of death. At this moment, it wasn't about sparing the woman's life, but whether he could escape or not. Almost at the same time as the pitch-black bead exploded, Ning Cheng rushed into the mysterious yellow bead. Boom boom boom. The terrifying explosion almost turned everything around Ning Cheng into nothingness. Streaks of shattered ice Taoist rhymes wreaked havoc in the void, and were bombarded into a mess. No matter how terrifying the ice Dao charm was, it disappeared temporarily under such an explosion. When Ning Cheng came out of the mysterious yellow bead again, the woman had already escaped and disappeared. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out to the grand essence realm in the distance, which had a huge gap in it, and his face turned gloomy. Although the realm was still slowly closing up, the power of that pitch-black bead was terrifying. It would take at least a month or two for it to recover. With the grand essence realm's laws shattered, the realm was already in a precarious situation. Now that the black bead exploded, the situation turned even worse. He should have directly brought out the ice-sealed space. Even if he couldn't stop that woman, that male cultivator wouldn't have been able to escape. As long as the ice-sealed space could block that man's escape, he could have killed him. Ning Cheng sped up and stopped after half an incense stick worth of time. Streaks of ice-cold Taoist rhymes were emanating from this place. 30 feet in front of him, there was an ice flower floating in the air. The ice flower had a hexagonal shape and looked crystal clear. It exuded a strong ice-attributed Dao charm aura. Around the ice flower were circles of Dao charm runes. A chill that could freeze one's soul emanated from this ice flower. Even if Ning Cheng had advanced to the half-step primordial chaos realm, and was a body-refining expert that surpassed the starry sky body, standing in this place for a long time still gave him a chill. This ice flower was by no means ordinary. Even if Ning Cheng didn't know what it was, he knew that it was a peerless treasure. Just a small ice flower was enough to freeze the surrounding space. One could see how terrifying it was. If he hadn't advanced in all aspects, he wouldn't have even made it this far. Ning Cheng carefully approached the ice flower. Ning Cheng had already put away the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. The everlasting Blue Thunder Fort lacked an artifact spirit, and couldn't withstand the extreme cold in this place. The wave-like ice-cold Dao charm tore through the ice flower, but Ning Cheng quickly refined and absorbed it. Even an ordinary primordial chaos holy emperor couldn't cross a distance of 3 feet. But for Ning Cheng, he could slowly move forward while refining the ice-cold Dao charm that swept towards him. 3 days later, Ning Cheng finally stood in front of this ice flower. The law power of extreme chill slammed into his body. Even if he could absorb the ice Dao charm and the ice source essence chi, he could still feel his bones creaking under the pressure. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and felt a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to use to put away this ice flower. With his strength in the Tao of Arrays, he could use restrictions to restrain this ice flower. But Ning Cheng felt sure that even if he used restrictions to restrain the ice flower, it wouldn't last long. The only thing on him that could contain the ice flower was the measureless gourd. The measureless gourd contained the 5-element chaos chi, and a drop of 3,000 weak water. Ning Cheng worried that if this ice flower entered the measureless gourd, it would freeze the measureless gourd. After hesitating for a while, Ning Cheng still put dozens of restrictions on the ice flower. When the restrictions fell on the ice flower, a cracking sound rang out. Before the restrictions cracked completely, Ning Cheng brought out the measureless gourd and sent the ice flower into the measureless gourd. Chapter 1182. While putting the ice flower into the measureless gourd, Ning Cheng prepared himself. Once the measureless gourd couldn't withstand the cold, he would immediately send out the ice flower. A few breaths passed and soon, half an incense stick's worth of time had passed. The measureless gourd didn't change, which made Ning Cheng feel relieved. He didn't know what this measureless gourd was, but it could even contain the extremely cold ice flower. Moreover, he couldn't feel the cold at all. After Ning Cheng took away the ice flower, the surrounding cold instantly weakened. Compared to the previous extreme cold, he couldn't feel any chill at all. Ning Cheng felt very satisfied. With the ice flower in hand, his cultivation advanced, and Ruoshi's 9-petal lotus throne, he could now leave. Before leaving, he had to protect this place with an array formation. In the future, he would have to repair the Grand Essence realm. So now he naturally wanted to do as much as he could. Ning Cheng had just taken a step back when the space where he took the ice flower suddenly collapsed. A spatial collapse force that Ning Cheng couldn't resist swept over and directly swept Ning Cheng away. At this time, Ning Cheng could only secretly regret that he didn't leave as soon as he took the ice flower. Instead, he stayed here for half an incense stick's worth of time. The violent spatial collapse force swept over, and Ning Cheng could only use the everlasting Blue Thunder City to protect his body. At the same time, he prepared to enter the mysterious yellow bead at any time. The intensity of the spatial collapse was more terrifying than Ning Cheng had imagined. Even with Ning Cheng's strength, he still felt extreme dizziness. This made Ning Cheng feel even more shocked. Even if he teleported away from a super long-distance teleportation array, he didn't feel this dizziness. This spatial collapse definitely had something to do with that woman's bursting black bead. This pair of dog and dog not only woke him up from his epiphany, but also tore a rift in the Grand Essence Realm's domain. Moreover, he didn't expect such a powerful spatial collapse to sweep him away. In the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, 2 women stood in the void. Between the 2 women, there were terrifying crisscrossing ravines and shattered Dao Charm auras. Even further behind them was the Dao Court's army in an orderly formation. The only difference was that on one side were human cultivators, while on the other side were demon cultivators and demonic beasts. Compared to the imposing Taisu Dao Court army, the hastily formed Dao Court army of the Taisu demon lineage was no different from a motley crew. At that moment, everyone was staring at the 2 women standing in the void. One of them was the Dao integration expert of the Taisu Dao Court, Chu Manha, and the other was the Dao integration expert of the Immortal Ring Island of the Taisu Demon Protectorate, Dao Lord Ao Wu. It could be said that the 2 of them would decide the direction of this war. Dao Lord Proudence' hair was rather disheveled, and there were a few bloodstains on her neck. Her clothes were no longer as luxurious and calm as they usually were. You're very powerful. You could be said to be the most powerful Dao integration stage, Holy Emperor I've ever seen. Even so, I imagine that in your heart you know that you aren't a match for me. Dao Lord Proud Dance was in a rather sorry state, but her voice was still as arrogant as ever. Chu Manha was also in a sorry state. She had more blood on her body than Dao Lord Proud Dance. However, she smiled disdainfully after hearing Dao Lord Proud Dance's words. That's because you stayed at home and didn't go out. There are countless Dao integration sacred emperors stronger than me in this world. Ao Wu wrinkled her elegant brows. Her beautiful face had an additional hint of delicateness. She absolutely didn't believe Chu Manha's words. She was very confident in her strength. As long as she hadn't set foot on the 3rd step of Dao confirming, there were only a handful of people stronger than her. It couldn't be like what Chu Manha said. There were countless of them in this world. Chu Manha looked at Ao Wu's expression and knew that Ao Wu wouldn't believe her. She didn't care. In fact, she was already being very modest. Before she was trapped in the perpetual moon gate, she only surpassed everyone in terms of array Dao and cultivation. When it came to the power of spells, she Chu Manha was really nothing. If your Grand Essence Dao Court withdraws from the Grand Essence Demon territory and symbolically compensates my Grand Essence Demon territory for our losses, then we'll forget about it this time. Dao Proud Dance didn't refute Chu Manha's words and spoke with a hint of toughness in her tone. Chu Manha laughed, but there was no smile on her face. Proud Dance, who do you think you are? My Grand Essence Dao Court still has several Dao integration sacred emperors who haven't been dispatched yet. If you dare to say another word of nonsense, I will hold you back. Once the Grand Essence Dao Court army presses down, do you think we can't flatten your Grand Essence demon vein? After that, the 9 beads around Chu Manha's body started to spin. At the same time, she called out to Li Feng behind her. Court Pillar Li Feng, once I make a move, you will immediately command the Grand Essence Dao Court army to flatten the Grand Essence demon vein. Yes. Li Feng understood Chu Manha's meaning and knew that Chu Manha was a trustworthy person around Ningcheng. Therefore, she agreed without hesitation. Wait. Ao Wu quickly called out. Her gaze swept over the mob behind her and sighed in her heart. As long as she got entangled, the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beast army wouldn't even last half an incense stick worth of time under the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Although Chu Manha was weaker than her, there was still a limit. It would be impossible for her to suppress Chu Manha and help the Grand Essence Demon Vein's demonic beast army kill the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Previously, she thought that she could kill all the experts of the Grand Essence Dao Court with her own strength, and then trigger the demonic beasts of the Grand Essence Demon Vein to loot the human cities. Looking at it now, it was like looking at flowers through a fog. He could only dream about it. Not to mention killing all the experts of the Grand Essence Dao Court. She couldn't even kill Chu Manha. Not to mention that the Grand Essence Dao Court still had a Dao Unification Holy Emperor. This time, she didn't wait for Chu Manha to speak and said again. My Grand Essence Demon Vein will give 1/3 of the Demon Vein area to the Grand Essence Domain. No demonic beasts will block the path between Broken Thatch Spirit City and Divine Sea City. Human cultivators can directly cross the Grand Essence Demon Vein and travel between the two places. At the same time, my Grand Essence Demon Vein will send 30 top-grade Divine Spiritual Veins, 10,000 high-grade Divine Spiritual Veins, and 3 billion Spirit Crystals. As for all kinds of Dao fruits, my Grand Essence Demon Vein. Dao Lord Ao Wu listed more than a dozen compensation terms in one breath, all for the sake of the Grand Essence Domain. Chu Manha felt a little embarrassed. Ningqing hadn't returned yet. She didn't know if she should continue. If she continued, with Dao Lord Ao Wu's strength, it wouldn't be difficult for her to accompany her before she died. Li Feng saw Chu Manha's hesitation and quickly stepped forward. Senior Chu, Dao Lord hasn't returned yet. I don't know if something happened. We might as well wait for Dao Lord to come back. Besides, the compensation from the Grand Essence Demon Vein is already a lot for us. Moreover, Dao Lord doesn't mean to exterminate the entire Demon Vein. Li Feng understood Ning Cheng's intention. He wanted to turn the Grand Essence Demon Vein into a trial area. But now that Dao Lord Ao Wu appeared, the situation had changed. Chu Manha nodded. She just wanted to help. She didn't care about what the Grand Essence Dao Court did. Thinking of this, she said to Dao Lord Ao Wu, in that case, we'll do as you say. If any demonic beasts or demonic cultivators slaughter the city again, our Dao Lord doesn't even need to issue a Dao Lord order. My Grand Essence Dao Court's army will take the initiative to crush them again. Upon hearing that Chu Manha had agreed to his request, Dao Lord Proud Dance heaved a sigh of relief. If Chu Manha didn't agree, she would have to continue to bleed. Otherwise, the Grand Essence Demon Vein would most likely be destroyed. After this battle, she could no longer ignore everything like before. She had to establish a true Grand Essence Demon Vein's Dao Court army. She couldn't let the Grand Essence Dao Court's army suppress them without any resistance. If she didn't vent her anger today, she would have been in vain for so many advantage of me by standing behind me. Body collided with a flying magical weapon, which the short primordial magical weapon flying away. Suddenly pointed at Ningqing also felt a burst of stuffiness in his chest. Chuckled. because of the
whether I
backlash
stand
from
in
the
front
weapon.
of you or behind
Fortunately,
you.
his
You are
physical
full of
body
farts.
was extremely
Am I
strong,
right, old
so
fogey?
he didn't suffer
I
too
didn't
much
expect
injury.
that a mere
Under
old
the
fogey like
circulation
you would
of
have
the
such a
Dao
great
Chang,
opportunity.
the injury had already
Which cesspool
disappeared.
did you fall into?
There was no movement
Not only
around.
did you recover your
Ning
physical
Cheng grabbed
body,
the weapon that had just
you even
hit him
recovered
and
your
looked at
cultivation.
It was a big
The short
steel
man
weapon,
stared at
and
Ning
it turned
Cheng
out
as
to
if
be
he
a
had seen a
semi-supreme
ghost.
grade spirit
He then
artifact.
took a few steps back
The weapon
and
had some
pointed at
cracks
Ning
on
Cheng.
it.
It should have been
it's you.
blasted by the
Don't
opponent
call
during the
yourself you,
fight.
or you. Since
You
the
dare to
weapon
call
was
yourself
here,
master
it seemed
in
that
front
the
of
place
this
where the
young
fight
master?
took place wasn't
Old
too
fogey,
far
you've
away.
grown some guts.
Ning Cheng's spiritual
Come, let this
consciousness
young master
swept
see
out,
how
and
stinky
soon
your
saw
fart
three
is.
people in the
Ning
distance.
Cheng waved at the
One
short
of them,
man and
a
said
man with a short
sarcastically,
stature,
"You're
was
tuning in
scolding
to the
two
Li Mei's
people.
Wuxia
This
Whispers
man with a
YouTube
short
channel.
stature was
We're
already
so
a
grateful for
primordial
your support,
essence, holy
and don't
emperor.
forget to subscribe
One of the
to
two
join us
people
on
he
this
scolded was
incredible
also a
journey through
primordial
captivating
essence, holy
stories.
emperor.
Your
And the other was a
generosity
half-step
through donations
primordial
truly
essence.
makes a world of
Ning
difference.
Cheng always felt
as
that
it's
the
the
short
primary
primordial
source of
essence,
revenue that
holy
allows
emperor
me
was
to
somewhat
expand and
familiar,
enhance this
but
channel
he couldn't
for you.
remember who the
Thank
other
you
party
from the
was.
bottom of my heart
Ning
for being
Cheng's
a part of
spiritual
this
consciousness
adventure. Had just swept over when he heard the short man scolding him. What are you looking at? This master is teaching two ants a lesson.